So, hi, Lawrence.
Hi, Laurie. An unscheduled hangout this evening. Well, it was scheduled,
Unscheduled.
but yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's unscheduled because we spent a couple hours doing one last night or yesterday morning. It actually was. It was kind of getting close to night for you, but um, unfortunately, we were unhappy with the outcome of that video, so of that hangout. So I just made the video private, and there's a couple reasons why, and one of the most important reasons is in the integrity of our research. And for a year and a half now, we've been doing these hangouts, and for nearly that amount of time, we've been working on maps and models and debunking the flat Earth model and map that everybody calls the flat Earth model and map, which actually is wrong. And through that process, we've gone through pretty much all the maps, all the projections. But yesterday we invited Awake Souls and Ronnie to come on and talk about the title of yesterday's hangout. And the agenda we wanted to talk about was simulation theory, and we wanted to continue the discussion about that we had started the week before. And so I thought that's what we were going to be talking about, and that's why we invited Jason, who had supposedly been researching that and calls himself, a flat earther and a simulation theory researcher. And so, but it turned out that he started making a presentation about a map that he believes is the direction he wants to go to investigate and research the true flat Earth map. And we actually encourage him to go right on ahead and do that. Unfortunately, when we saw the map, we instantly recognized it as a map that we had already debunked. Lawrence officially did, and all the reasons why it was debunked, and that can be seen on this channel under the episode Mythbusters. And the reason why we went through that exercise was because Globebusters was coming out with a heart-shaped map, which was a very, very similar version of this stereographic projection. So we've already been down this road, and we're really not willing at this point to revisit that, because it can't work for all the reasons that the flat Earth AE Gleason maps didn't work. Would you agree with that assessment, Lawrence?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as soon as that came up, I thought that's Cammie's map, and then you said Cammie, so then I sent you a message on Facebook saying that's Cammie's map, and then we double checked it afterwards, and in its general shape, it's the same. It's got 3 poles, and it's got all the wavy lines in a similar sort of place. And the thing is, apparently Ronnie gave him the map, so I can only presume that Ronnie is working undercover for Globebusters and trying to glean information out of us and make the show look stupid. But Jason didn't come up with anything coherent about that map at all. He didn't tell us where it came from.
Well, he did. He said Ronnie supplied the map. That's what he said in the video.
Why on earth? Ronnie's been on the show. Ronnie knows what Globebusters map is like. So,
Ronnie was on the Mythbusters show that we did, debunking that map. So it's not like he couldn't have recognized that was the same map or similar enough to be called the same map, same projection. So rather than try to do a whole bunch of edits and take things out and so on and so forth and make a big stink and get dramatic and all of that other stuff, we just took the video off. It had 400 or 500 views on it when I made it private. And so that's what you'll see. It was not removed. It was just made private in the listing so that nobody can view it but me. And I may decide to go back through it and pick out some things that might want to be edited out of it and keep, but probably not. So we're just going to kind of, roll the tape back and talk tonight about what we wanted to talk about last night or yesterday. And John is supposed to join us shortly. He's had to work right up probably until the time we started this, but we can make it much later for Lawrence because it's 11 p.m. over there. So anyway, let's start again. And we want to continue our information that, or our conversation about simulation theory. Now, what some people call simulation theory is maybe not the same thing we call it. There has been a lot written on the subject by various different researchers and computer people and astrophysicists and the like. So this is our own version of our research. And the reason we wanted to delve into it is because we arrived at a flat Earth map and a flat Earth model that does mimic the observations that we see on Earth. And the problem with it was that in order for the sun and the moon to circle back around, we needed to explain to ourselves how that happens. So there kind of came simulation theory, and it's interesting because there's a whole lot of people who are willing and kind of excited about talking about our world as a simulation, but don't you talk about Pac-Man because that doesn't work. And yet Pac-Man is a simulation game. So, Lawrence, why do you, why and how do you think simulation answers a lot of the questions of the anomalies of flat Earth that aren't being answered otherwise, or don't have a ready solution otherwise?
Yeah, well, whichever way we look at it, we cannot make the sun and moon fit reality. It's seen in places that it isn't. So unless that is some kind of refraction, it's not going to work. And that's the problem. Obviously, the sun and moon, if they all fit at our observations, then, and so the map's fine on the ground. I think we've got the ground pretty much nailed down because it ties in with the UTM map. So I brought that little YouTube up on the last show, and I was chatting to the guy who made it, and he was an expert on the UTM map, and I asked him, is it all the same all the way through? Does each square going upwards as well as across, does each square represent the same amount of area? And I said to him, does each square become less as it moves away from the equator north and south to reflect that the longitude lines are converging to a central point, which they do on the globe? And he said, exactly, that's what it does. So, you look at 30 degrees north and the equator, you'll see them on the UTM map, the one that Free Energy put out there, and they look exactly the same, but they're not. The one at 30 degrees north, each square has a less surface area within it. And then when you get up to the Arctic and Antarctic regions, they have a altogether separate UTM map. So the UTM map, when you take the distortion out of it, you get a diamond-shaped map once more. So, and they're using that for navigating. So that is a very strong point, that what we've got on the ground fits. The air routes fit to within narrow margins, and that's provable with, unless they're lying about the speed of aeroplanes, but if you're going to lie about the speed of aeroplanes, then what speed are you allowed to take at? Can you take the speed of your car? You know, you drove your car at 80 miles an hour. Well, how do you know that's the real speed? Well, we don't. We can only go off the measurements that we use, you know, and past experience. So air times match the speed of the aircraft. They get there on time. So the distances all fit perfectly, you know, to within, you know, 15% maximum error rate, which is on these routes that crisscross on the map. You know, the ones that go north to south directly, and the ones that go across the equator, the fit is exact. You know, you can't detect it on the map that I made. The error rate is the width of a pencil. It's so small. So the ground, we've got the ground sorted out, but the rest of it, which is above, obviously we can't go there and investigate it. We can't, you know, time spaceships, how long it takes them to go up into space and back. So we've got no way of, you know, corroborating any data to match it all up. We can only go off, you know, guesswork and hypotheses and things like that. We can't check it out. You know, and we could actually make a model. I don't know whether you're still going to, and test the sun and see whether that fits. But when you think about the Earth, how much, you know, it's been here thousands of years, as far as we know, not millions. You know, and if somebody actually could create the Earth from the power of thought, because that's, you know, we're all down the creation route. It didn't just happen as, you know, as a result of the Big Bang and rocks gathering more rocks and a bit of water. So this place was made, it was constructed. So it was either constructed as a physical entity or it was created as a simulation. But to create this place as a physical entity, then we would be like microbes to whoever built it. We would be so infinitesimally smaller than the makers. That, you know, talk about giants, you need a giant that was actually bigger than the Earth itself if you're actually going to make an Earth. You know, then you've got all the different facets of the Earth: rivers, oceans, seas, mountains, forests, all this sort of stuff. It's a lot of thing to make manually, isn't it? And then you've got to create all the humans. So, you know, if you had the you know, the power to build it, then you'd probably got the power to just simulate it. You know, I can't see any reason why God or the creator, whoever that may be, could not simulate where we are. And whether that goes down as far as us, I don't know. It's possible.
Well, I mean, we did go down the route of investigating and researching a little bit. We kind of dropped off with that, was the, you know, giants theory and the, you know, perhaps this place was here before and destroyed and remade again. It could possibly have been multiple times. I think if you were capable of making a simulation, you would certainly be capable of burning it to the ground and or flooding it and or any of the other destruction modes that we've read about in our history and our Bibles and so on. So having, you know, kind of delved into that a little bit, this is a natural progression in my estimation to figure out how to understand the things that we can't. Okay. And for example, when you said in the model that the model represents what we can observe. Well, we observe the sun going south of the South Pole, looks like. And that's a deal killer for many people on the flat Earth version, pizza pan version, because the sun can't do that. It can't even appear to do that if that's the version that you believe in. And so they say that's not real. That's faked footage. every excuse under the sun. And we, on the other hand, would prefer not to make any excuses whatsoever to understand the observations that we see. So you've watched multiple times. I have, others have, time-lapse videos from the different stations in Antarctica. People have posted videos. It's kind of interesting that if a video comes from the north and the sun looks like it's circling, that's okay because that fits within that model. But it doesn't fit within the model if the sun in the north is going up and down along the horizon, like this, because then that's like the world would be wobbling, okay? And that's just as much of a problem that looks like a globe also. So yesterday we were talking about the sun simulator, that video. There's been quite a few people who have made videos about it, but we played on the broadcast a little part of the one from, I guess it was Richie from Boston, has a video about the sun simulator and about the patent, and the patent being talked about, and the plans or the drawings or the actual animation of the sun simulator being shown by Boeing Corporation. And so that's likely going to come in as an excuse. This real sun's not going south of the equator, or I mean, south of the Capricorn and south of the South Pole. That's the sun simulator. Okay. So that means then we would have two suns. Now, I guess I would understand where the people in the north wouldn't see the southern sun because of the same reasons why the people in the south don't see Polaris. So, okay, I can kind of go with that if we're going to use the simulation of the sun as an excuse for why we see the sun dart south of places like Casey Station, which are headed south, facing south, the cameras, right?
Yeah, let me just quickly bring up, I've managed to get some calc on this time.
Oh, good, because we got shut out of SunCalc yesterday.
So
everybody did, actually.
This is today at 90 degrees south at the, the Amundsen Scott Station. And if you look at, move through the day, the sun is up all day because you've got the yellow circle that's up all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you move to if you look on the left hand side where it says altitude, it says 23.42. That 23.4 is there again. But the really fascinating thing is that throughout the whole day, it doesn't budge. Well, it's budged 0.02 degrees. When you move it to December the 25th, so it's 23.42 or 43 or thereabouts,
right,
for the whole day. You can see that on the left. It's only the altitude of the sun isn't changing at all. So if we move it on a week to the 25th, let's just have a quick look at that. And now it's at 23.39, 23.39, 23.38, 23.4. So it's within 0.03 of a percent the whole day. So the sun is staying at the same height all day for several weeks, and it's going south of the South Pole. Well, obviously, if you put that on the AE map, everywhere else would be dark, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be going south. All maps it wouldn't work because the sun is going off the map. But SunCalc is telling us is happening over there, and if we change this to December to June the 21st, let's move back to June, just so you can see the same thing again. So, and now we're going to change the latitude to the North Pole, so south to north. What do we get here? First, bingo. Back to 21st of June, 23.45 all day. So it's an exact replica in their respective summers. They both have the same sun patterns there. The sun does not rise or fall. So when you've seen these videos that have been put out about the North Pole, they weren't the North Pole itself. They were probably something at 70 north, and you will get the sun rising and falling at 70, but at 90, it's not budging. It's there at the same height, moving round all day.
Okay, so you're saying it's doing the exact same thing at the north as it is in the south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
On the opposite summer and winter.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that says we have two poles. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. B, that says the sun's not circling a la A.E. Gleason map. Okay. And then that also says that the diamond shaped map showing 2 points, north and south, works with the SunCalc, with time and date, and with measurements. So why would we look at a map that is used, it appears, primarily for creating plane flights, great circle routes? Because as we saw on that map that we looked at yesterday, they explain great circle routes, but it's a computer animation. It's not taken from the globe, because we know we don't live on one. It's taken from a simulated map that moves with the computer. So the map itself is a simulation in order to make it work, to wrap it around the globe, which is what the point of their, assertion was yesterday. And we don't need that, actually, because we don't live on a globe. So I understand how someone would want to reverse engineer a map off a globe, because obviously that's what every projection of a globe is, correct? I mean, that's what every map is. It's a projection of the globe. I don't care whether it's heart-shaped, bean-shaped, square, circle. It doesn't matter. It's a projection of the globe. So we don't have a projection of the globe, although that's what the Collignon map is. It's a projection of the globe, but it's all spread out on one flat plane. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the only map. It's the only projection where the latitude and longitude are the same as the globe, and having the longitude converging at the poles, because that just doesn't happen with the other maps, whatever shape they are. They don't converge at the poles.
Right. The only other close one that does is the sinusoidal. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just converges at the poles, but it's kind of rounded off, a little bit.
A bit in the middle.
So, okay. So one of the things that we need to kind of figure out then is if then. I like to do if then. If we live in a simulation, then this, okay, whatever then is. And so if we live in a complete simulation, meaning nothing is physical, nothing is mass, it's all either computer generated or I don't care if you want to. I mean, I used to make fun of Eric Dubay, saying it, maybe we're a dream in God's head. And now I kind of a little bit more understand what he was meaning there. So that may have been a clue dropped by somebody who I otherwise think is a disinformation agent. And Mark Sargent, who says repeatedly, from a game designer standpoint, which the game designer would be the god of the game. I mean, he created it, made the code. So if we live in a complete simulation, then we would have to understand and come to grips with everything we think is real is virtual, including ourselves. And most people wouldn't be prepared to go there, because then that's the matrix, so to speak. But the matrix is a little different in that the mind is living in a simulation, but the body is real, trapped in that little pod, in that goopy, juicy stuff, and being tended to by little machines that look like bugs and so on. But the body itself is a real entity, mass and bone and meat. So, this is one of those avenues. If we're living completely in a simulation, then all the simulated stuff has no laws other than the laws of the coder. So the coder can break all the laws that the coder wants to, okay? Meaning, just because I say the sun goes between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, or Cancer and Capricorn and back, okay? Whichever way you want to visualize it, then how can we be seeing it going south of south and north of north? Then that says, okay, well, that's a rule broken simulation. But the creator made the rules. So if you live in partial simulation, okay, if all of this is sort of real, but let's say everything on the land, on the, terrestrial plane is real. You are, I am, this notebook, the mountains, the streams, the, wind and everything else is real. Then what part of that is a simulation? Is our brain coded? And we're partially living in a simulation, meaning what we see each day is simulated and can be messed with. Like, for example, angels, ghosts, UFOs, blah, 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 all that stuff. And history can be changed, and Mandela effect and all those other things would be the simulation. So if you were really good at simulating, you would be able to simulate pain, blood, cutting, operations, people having their liver removed, all the way to train wrecks and car wrecks and cancer and every bad thing. You'd be able to simulate that because it's a mental thing. It's not real. It's what you think is happening. What do you think about that, Lawrence? Can you go that far? Can you think that's the way things might be?
Yeah, I think this is the big secret that they've been trying to cover up. They talk about it in the movies, don't they? Simulations. You've got university professors that it's
string theory.
You've got all these things going on. I mean, a lot of people won't be awake to synchronicities in their life or things that happen that are just, as a matter of chance. They're billions to one, and I've seen them myself. I'm not going to go into them, but I'm seeing things that were billions to one, and it's really as though somebody's playing a game. All these things like law of attraction and stuff like that. That stuff really works. Karma, it works. It's like when you know the rules of the game, life gets easy. So I give lots of stuff away to people who ain't got much money, or give them extra things. And people say, well, Craig, what are you giving it away for? But it always comes back with some more extra interest. And that's one of the rules of the game. And when you know that, If you're generous, the generosity comes back to you. It's
Sure. It's
it,
a
it, bal- it
pay it
balances
forward.
out.
Right.
It balances out, and if something bad happens to me, I think, well, probably it's something I deserve from something I did in the past. I think that, the Illuminati, they believe in karma, don't they? Because they always, that's why they do all these benefactor things, these foundations and trusts and all that sort of stuff. It's to sort of buy them some brownie points back, isn't it? That's what they do it for. They don't do it because they care.
No,
I suppose.
certainly not. They
And
still have gold. They still have gold toilets and all the other kind of
yeah,
stuff like that.
they know the rules of the game. I mean,
Well, yeah, isn't that part of sort of the whole Freemason 33 degrees, blah, blah, blah. You learn the rules of the game, and the higher you go up, the more little secrets are shared with you so that, you prosper in the game. And, I always find it interesting that, or have always found it interesting that people who least likely seem to deserve to get things get them.
Yeah.
Fame, fortune, finance, fancy this and that, power even. And, you're kind of like, what a butthead this person is, yet they have millions or billions, like George Soros type or whoever.
Yeah.
And so if there are, I believe there are certain laws that are, defined that everyone, no matter how much power you have to live under these laws. Laws like, the law of universal free will. And if you do actually understand all the things like predictive programming and all that sort of thing, and you understand that, with predictive programming, they're sort of telegraphing their intentions, or they're, kind of doing the right karma thing to show you maybe what's going to happen in the future. Or if you don't stop us, we're going to accomplish this thing, right? And so now we've put the onus on you to prevent that, like world wars or things like the Patriot Act that we all can't believe we're still living under, even though we haven't had a terrorist attack in the United States since 2001. And even that was faked, an inside job. So we've actually never had a terrorist attack in the United States. Even Pearl Harbor was, people know now that they were warned, or should have been warned. So the universal law of free will applies to everyone, even the bad guys, even the ones who try to control and have power over everyone. So when I think about things like the Mandela effect, which many people are either they're in or they're out, they buy it or they don't buy it at all. And when I think about, the few little things that, there's kind of some major ones where, this person swears and be damned that this is the way I remember something. And then this person is equally, oh, no, this is exactly the way it was. And it's kind of interesting because sometimes age is a factor. People in certain age groups remember things a certain way. And then, maybe the millennials or whatever, I hate that term, but whatever, the younger generation remembers it a different way totally. And all of them do, and all of these do. So if that's code being altered, meaning. We erased the original. You might have a cached version in your head, just like in your computer. If you download, or if you looked at something and now it's not there anymore, if you downloaded it, you have a cached version. Then of course you would remember it this way, and somebody else would remember it another way, and they can do all they can to try to erase all the residual memory of what happened before with this group of people, or what they remember. And so war, look at all the people who are doing war revisionist stuff, Holocaust revision, Hitler revision, all kinds of things that they're saying, no, it actually never happened that way. The history is written by the victor. So I can go either way with this. I have no problem. My mind's open. I can go with, we're a biological bunch of people and we've got an electrical connection in our brain that's helping to code our thoughts and our memories, a la mind control. Maybe we've been sprayed with chemtrails that have nanobots in them that we've breathed in, and they've made their way to our brains, and we're all a little bit under mind control, and given enough time, we all will be the Borg. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated with the hive mind thing. I don't know if you ever watched that Star Trek show, but it was, I think, The Next Generation or something. But it seems that there are a renegade few bunch of people who don't see, they seem to be breaking their code. They don't seem to be so easily mind controlled compared to, say, the masses. But it wouldn't be that hard, considering how many, somebody said, oh, 7 billion people, should be pretty hard to simulate their lives every day. Well, no, not really, because pretty much half the time, half of them are sleeping. Okay. So then you just got to kick in some dream sequences now and then. And the rest that are awake, a whole lot of people have pretty simple lives. They get up, they, have breakfast, they do their work, they watch TV, they go to bed, and they do the same thing tomorrow. So that wouldn't be real hard to code. That would be like a default code for a whole lot of people. Especially if you just turn the TV on for a while, then it's like completely mindless. You don't even have to think, just where's the pretzels and the beer. And so then you would only have a certain amount, percentage of people's thoughts, minds, you would need to control or simulate. And one of the things I thought about you the other day when I was watching a video of a guy showing that the sun moved way too fast in like a couple hour period. And he did the math.
Your friend never got the link. He's trying to email you.
Okay.
One Wiki.
All right. Hold on just a minute. I need to get the link for inviting John. For some reason he didn't get the link. And go over here to email. Oh, that's because I never hit the send button. How about that? Sorry, John. My bad. You have to actually click the send button if you actually want somebody to get the message. Okay. Sorry, Lawrence.
Yeah, can I just say something about this Mandela effect? Yeah, when I was a kid, I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs several times because it was a great movie for kids, and it was always mirror, mirror on the wall. If somebody can bring out one of those old spools of film that's been preserved in a vault somewhere and show the original footage of that movie saying magic mirror, then that is definitely it's a simulation. because you just can't do that. You can't do it.
You can't do it. But the only versions I've seen are those that are online of the old film. In other words, some people actually have the old VHS or Betamax, oh my God, DVD film.
Cassettes, yeah.
Cassette. There we go. I couldn't even think of that word anymore. It's been erased from my data bank. And if they could get theirs out and it says magic mirror, now you're, I mean, you can't argue with that, because most people older remember mirror, mirror on the wall. And there may have been one segment in there where she said the magic mirror, but that was my thought the minute I heard about Mandela effect. I don't know why I automatically went to simulation, but that answered the question across the board for how Mandela effect works, is that they changed the code, and I don't know. It's not like I think of it as an excuse to accept Mandela effect, simulation theory, or we live in a simulation or a hologram or whatever, because it's easy to just blow off a whole lot of things that otherwise you can't explain. But because the more I cross-reference things with it, with that thought, the more things I can just go, well, that makes total sense. Why would I ignore that? I mean, that's Occam's razor. The simplest thing is probably the truth. So, I think of all kinds of things. I think of things like people seeing ghosts, people seeing angels. Some people say, well, that's just crossing one dimension with another. How can you even do that in reality? The reality, biological reality that we know of. How do you cross dimensions? A dimension is based on density. It's based on, mass and molecules and protons, it's not based on ones and zeros. So, when I was thinking yesterday before the hangout about all of the reasons why simulation works and why you would do something like simulate a sun, and that sun would be going south of south, and I thought, well, that would totally give us an excuse for why the ice is melting or any of that kind of stuff, right? Because along with the sun, light goes the heat from the sun. Even if it's simulated, it may not be quite as hot as the real sun. But then you have to ask, I mean, Mandela effect, the sun's a part of it. Lots of people remember the sun being much yellower, a golden sun in the day, not just, when it's rising and setting and it's orangey or red or whatever. I mean, they remember a yellow sun, and they remember a much bluer sky. A certain kind of light has to create that. You can't fake that. It has to be a certain spectrum. So
I wanted to show you something, Laurie, that there's so much sacred geometry type math that fits in with this place that we live, and I'm going to show you that now. I'm just going to possess the screen once more. I don't know whether John's watching or not, but let's. All right, so we're on SunCalc again. Okay, I've actually put it where you live. So you're at latitude 2733 something, and that's set on the 21st of June. So if you look at the maximum height, altitude of the sun, where you are, you're just north of the Tropic of Cancer. So you get the sun going as high as, let's have a look, close, not far off 90 degrees, 70, 60, 70, 75. 85, 86. Yeah, so the sun's going up to 86 degrees where you are. So, but at this time at the geographic North Pole, the sun height's 23.4. So what that means is, if you add 1 degree of sun angle for every 1 degree of latitude you move south, it will give you your maximum sun angle on that same date. So you are 62 point something degrees from the North Pole. So if you add 62 to your 23.4, it's going to give you what's that, 95?
I don't know.
27.3. You're 62.7 degrees from the South Pole. So you add the 23.4 to that, and that gives you 86.1. So you look
Pretty
at your
amazing.
angle, 86.07. So wherever you live, find out how many degrees of obviously the reverse if you're living in the southern hemisphere, and you will know what the maximum sun altitude is going to be. On, well, that one's on the summer solstice. But if we change this now to the 21st to the it's September, isn't it? September the 21st. That's the equinox, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. So on September the 21st, the maximum altitude where you live, it's dropped by 23.4. Yeah, 23.4.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when the sun moves to its furthest point south, your 63.07 will then drop by another 23.4 degrees. So let's go to December. December the 21st. Okay, so then it's down there, and the maximum sun angle now is down to 37.3. 37, sorry, let's move it around. I think it's when it's further south. It's changed to 39.2. So you add your 23.4 on that. That takes you back to where you were before. And then you add another 23.4 on that, and that takes you, to the number before that. So, you're going to get your maximum sun height, obviously because the sun's over what's it. But every time it moves down, every degree of latitude that it does, the sun height where you are is going to fall by the same amount. So that's how sailors used these sextants to work out how far north or south they'd gone. They would look.
Holy crap, Lawrence, you finally figured it all out about the sextant thing. That's so cool.
Yeah. So whatever the maximum height is at noon, that will enable them to establish how far north they are. So if it was June the 21st and the angle in the sky was 28.4, they knew there'd be at latitude 85 because it's 5 degrees over the 23.4. And that's how they, because I was always wondering in these old books, and they were making ships' logs, even Captain Cook, and it was saying today we hit latitude such and such. Well, how do they know that? They're out in the middle of a bloody ocean, and they're not looking at the stars.
Because it's a math thing. That's why.
Yeah, it's just straightforward math. Looking at the sun, calculate the angle of the sun, and away you go. Obviously, they'd probably have charts and tables to look at when it wasn't on these specific dates, because it would all change once more. But that's how they do it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hi, John.
Is he back?
Yeah, John's here.
Yes. Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hello, John.
Oh, most excellent.
All right.
Do you have your Muckluck hat on too, John?
I was checking for hats, but no, I'm just here, just hanging out. Hi.
Hi.
Well, I'm not wearing this hat for entertainment. I know I look a bit of a clown, but it's to keep my ears warm, and it's bloody cold here.
So, actually, Lawrence,
you.
I was gonna say, I've seen a lot of people wear those, but when you wear it, for some reason it's cool. I don't know why. You actually make those stupid hats cool. I've seen one girl who wore one that was knitted, and it had the little things and the little balls hanging down, and she actually looked cool too. But so you're the second cool person wearing one of those goofball hats.
I don't even know what it's called.
I can't remember what they're called either, but well, we always called them hunter's caps when, because you could put the flaps up on the top and tie them up or snap them or something and tie them together. But Elmer Fudd was the other one. We used to call them Elmer Fudd hats because Elmer Fudd wore one in the cartoons. Sorry,
Right.
Can't help it. That's totally Mandela.
It's Deputy Dog, isn't it?
Yeah,
Deputy
right.
Dog.
Deputy Dog.
I could do with one of those in New York. I could go with those Russian hats with the big, wool on it all around.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's freezing up here. Yeah.
Is it?
Got the turtleneck on.
Lawrence,
there, so.
yeah. See, Lawrence is in. He won't turn his damn heat on because he's cheap. Well, not just that, but he doesn't want to ruin all of his essential oils by getting them too hot. But him like 50 degrees is a little excessively. So I have the air conditioning on. So, okay. So John, what'd you think about that? Did you just see the math Lawrence did on the angle of finding out what latitude you're on by the time of year and the sun and everything?
I didn't catch the end of it, but that was brilliant. That was brilliant, sizing it up. And it works out with SunCalc. So that's great.
It does work out with SunCalc. And we're able to get on SunCalc today. Nobody could get on yesterday. They were kind of down. We thought we got hacked out of them or whatever, reverse hacked or something. Shut out. So we are back to talking about simulation theory, John, as we were supposed to do last night, but we didn't get there. So now we're doing it, and glad you were able to join us. And it's totally my bad that I didn't hit the send button on the email with the link.
No, that happens. It's sometimes like the littlest of things. Yeah.
No, it happens to me more often than not. Distractions are us is my motto. So
well, what can you say? There are so many things to contend with in a life. I don't know how people deal with raising a family in this world. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't even say. I'm
not going to get into it, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, how do they live their lives? How do they get stuff done on the outside?
I don't know, because I mean, it's all I can do to keep my shit together, and I can't think of a different way to say that. I mean, that's just how it is. And there's sometimes when I just, I turn the phone off and I turn the computer off, and I'm just like, I don't even care. I don't care if the world falls apart right now, because I'm just going to go like Netflix for an hour or two and binge watch something and veg out like everybody else seems to get to do. So yes, I do it too. And
well, I speaking of simulation theory in the world and technology specifically, I saw an interesting thing about technology. It was not really about technology. It was an interview with Adam Curry, the Podfather. He's did an interview with Max Kaiser, if anyone wants to watch it. But he talks about technology, and he says that's the root of the problem. It's killing us. It's overwhelming us in so many ways. Mental, we're always on. We're constantly, dealing with the screen right here. This he says this is the problem, and he says he's like, really, I don't think our brains can handle it all. And it's fascinating, because if you really wanted to overwhelm a population, you just like throw a whole bunch of shit at them, and you really can tell them anything. I mean, they're not paying attention anyway.
Absolutely, entertain them to death. I mean, literally, make their brain shut down just based on overload. And there for a long time, I kind of was a Luddite. And
that's a good word.
I really wanted just to, blow it all up. Just take the grid down, turn the power off, forget the whole thing, because, Otherwise, it's just only going to get more intense. You start
I'm
seeing
just-
these people with these wearables, okay?
Seriously, Laurie, John, I've just had this most bizarre thought. Let's just imagine that us three, okay, were being observed by, let's say there were other galaxies and other species, and we were being observed, right? Now, Laurie, they're going to be watching you, and they were making notes about you for the last 18 months, and they said, this blonde woman from Sarasota, she spends 18 hours a day looking at this square box. And you do. You must spend 18 hours a day looking at this square box in front of you and talking to it and looking
one kind or another. I mean, think about it. I don't, because I actually have a job and I work. Right. But okay, now here's the one that just blows my mind, Lawrence. Okay. They have these, and I just saw this, a commercial for it. Okay. And I don't ever watch commercials. I have ad blocker and have all that stuff, you know, on my computer, so I don't see any of that garbage. But they have these virtual reality glasses that you buy now, right? And they're selling out for Christmas in the United States. Probably not. They're making it look like, you know, it's such a hot commodity that you have to, you know, buy 2 or 5 if you want to get one. Kind of like Cabbage Patch dolls were about 30 years ago or something. So you get these virtual reality goggles, and I'm thinking, what do they got, like an app in there, and you download, you know, different virtual things you're going to do, you know, look through the glasses, and that on the commercial, the people were like going, oh, you know, and looking actually like Hillary Clinton when she did that weird, you know, that weird face. And they're like, you know, going like this, and they're doing all, and I thought, oh my God, you look so stupid and nerdy, but okay, so what's going on inside the glasses? Do you know what you do? You buy these goggle things, and they look like scuba goggles, kind of, but cooler. And you flip the end open, and you freaking put your phone inside of it. So here's what you're doing with those goggles, okay? Your phone is the app that's running the virtual goggles. So holy crap! Now you're wearing your phone, and you're living. Well, I thought Pokemon was bad, where people are like going around running into walls and falling off the edge of cliffs and crap, playing Pokemon. But now you're wearing your phone in front of your face, just like that. Didn't they say you don't even want to put that thing to your ear for very long? And everybody's like, oh, I'm going to put it right here for like an hour, and I'm going to shoot bad guys and go whitewater rafting. And I mean, I'm done. I can't even imagine how much goofier it could get.
It's going to kill the TV industry for sure. Everyone's going to be wearing these things on their face. Hey, if it's made by Samsung, be careful. It might blow up.
Oh, well, you know, your face catches on fire.
Yeah. Laurie, will you play this little short video clip for me? I'm going to put it in chat, and then we can have a little talk about this, because it's quite significant.
Boy, here we go.
Just play.
All
it's
right.
only 2 minutes. In chat.
All right. Hold on. I got to get the microphone down here.
You can even sing along if you like.
No, you don't want that. Nobody wants that.
It's before your time, John. I know you're a bit older than you look, but it's definitely before your time.
Okay, wait. Where's the chat? Come on, chat. Okay.
This is a challenge, Lawrence. It's a sheer challenge for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so got to do the screen share. Application window, select the video, share, select the video. Why is suddenly my mouse just not working? Okay, here we go. Present to everyone. There it is. Do I have to do full screen? Because, you know, it's hard for me.
Just play the sound. Turn it up a bit.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one,
I know this song.
and a green one, and
I've
a
never
blue
heard it
one,
before.
and a yellow one, and they're all all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes, and they came out all the same. And there's doctors and lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And they all play on a golf course and drink their martinis dry. And they all have pretty children, and the children go to school, and the children go to summer camp, and then to the university where they are put in boxes, and they come out all the same. And the boys go into business, and Marion raise a family in boxes made of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. There's a pink one, and a green one, and a blue one, and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.
Just the same.
Little pink houses.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes on the same.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That was the theme song to
I
the
love
show
the
Weeds
Amazon.
on, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the Amazon boxes.
Lawrence, I did know
Okay.
that song. I did know
You
that
did?
song. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's
the theme
funny,
song.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's
so
great.
I just gave you the example of Laurie, which won't be far off the truth, spending most of her day looking at a box. And, you know, when you're not looking at that box, you're looking at a television box. You get up in the morning in your box of a house, you take your cereal out of your box. Then you go to work in your box of a car. You go and work in your call centre in another little box, and you sit on a chair and stare at a box for the whole day. Get back in your box, go back home to your box of a house, watch the box of the TV again, and then when you die, they put you in a box.
Well, you know, I have
You know,
this. I have this thought, Lawrence.
it's
I
boxing,
think
isn't
about
it?
all these people, all these guys who wear the baggy pants, you know, way down that you have to hold up, or they actually really will fall off your butt and fall down around your ankles. They got a hold of their pants with one hand, and they got a hold of their phone with the other hand. What the hell do they do to like do stuff? Okay. You know, I use my hands all day long. What do you do if somebody comes up and slaps you in the face? What are you going to drop your pants, or are you going to drop your phone? What are you going to do? You know, choices.
Now they've got us. You know,
So
think about
we
it.
already live in virtual reality.
You know,
Okay, we already do.
I spent the last 10 years of my life looking at a computer screen. You think, well, fucking hell, is this why we're brought down to this on this earth? You know, why are we given this life? We're spending all our time looking at freaking computer screens, aren't we?
Listen, well, on the virtual thing that I saw, the commercial, okay, you know, this is actually pretty funny. I have this phone with calendars and notepads and every other kind of thing, but I don't know how to use it. So I literally have sticky notes on the back of my phone so I can remember who I have to call in the morning. Okay. Now that's pretty bad, but that's Lori style right there. But
Laurie,
here's the thing.
Even the wallpaper on your backdrop there is little boxes, isn't it? They're all
little
painted on
boxes.
the wall.
I know. It's a matter of time you were going to go there. But okay, so let's think about we're already getting close to living virtual, all right? And we think we know that there was a dark ages back in the day, okay? We think we know there were cavemen and there were, you know, whole eras of time, back in Jesus's day and back in old antique China day and that nobody had anything electric. No, I mean, I still to this day, when the power goes out, I literally kind of flip out for a little while because I'm like, okay, I forgot what I'm supposed to do. You know, go get the candles and go get the LED flashlight, and because I have that stuff, but if the power goes out so rarely, well, it does for a little short periods of time, but you know what I mean, that I mean, it's a part of everyday reality that where there's a dark place, it gets lit when it gets dark, and there's switches to do that, all that stuff. But in that commercial, this kid was, you know, doing the virtual reality, okay, outside. He's outside with his goggles on doing whitewater rafting in the commercial. Okay, so that's just all wrong. I mean, it's just all wrong. So, okay, so they gave us the devices so that they could make us slaves to the devices. I mean, I remember, I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm old enough to remember when major appliances started coming into the house, you know, things that were electrified, like ice grinders and, you know, I don't know, toasters and all this. We used to make the toast in the oven, you know, before that. And at my grandmother's, we did, that she had a little kerosene stove that we would use to char the bread a little bit to make toast. So when all these devices started happening, they were supposed to be time-saving devices, okay? Now, let's come up to 2016, where I have clients, you know, most of my clients are pretty wealthy people because I do art for them in their homes and, you know, some remodeling projects and things like that. So I live in a wealthy community of but basically wealthy retired people. So I go in these homes and they all got all the gadgets, okay? They have all the highest and newest tech and smart homes. Their homes are smart. And everything's Wi-Fi and hooked up and electronic thermostats and everything, push button front doors and everything. And they're constantly having to deal with this broke and that broke and this doesn't work and I don't know how to program that and I have to call the programming guy and I have to get, you know, and then so-and-so, he doesn't know how to do it because that's a specialty, so I have to call in the other guy. And I mean, a lot of time and organization is going on to keep all of their shit working, okay, properly. Whereby, if they didn't have any of that, okay, I mean, it should be the hardest thing should be remembering to change the battery in the smoke detector. That used to be the you know, the every 6 month thing, right? When you did the time forward and the time back, the daylight saving thing, that's when you change those. So on top of television, which I now have a smart TV, you know, it's all Wi-Fi, don't have to have a cable connection to it anymore, okay? And it has Roku built in, so it's Wi-Fi, and you know, so I'm thinking, you know, I'm constantly bombarded all day long with Wi-Fi. They call it electrosmog or whatever. We're all subjected to it. So no wonder a lot of people are completely distracted. I mean, I can't believe there's not more wrecks all over the place with people. They know they're not supposed to be texting or really shouldn't even be talking on their phone unless it's, you know, connected to their car, right? So, but yet, you know, you're sitting at a light and it turns green and you're like, rah! Green means go, go. And they're like, do, yeah, I'm going to turn. And, you know, it's road rage and every other kind of thing. No wonder they have us completely under their thumb. And nobody has the wherewithal or the energy to stand up for their rights or whatever. You know, there's people out there who actually think there's going to be a revolution. Oh, really? So, John, you haven't really got to talk a lot about simulation, and you wanted to talk about it yesterday, and it didn't work out. And so now, what are your thoughts on simulation theory?
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about that because I was really, it's kind of a curious thing to talk about. And I said, simulation. He's like, so it's not real? And I'm going, well, no, it's real, but people are saying that, it's everything simulated. And I brought him up to speed on the Matrix, which he understands. But I said, so there's that whole aspect that everything can be simulated with technology, not current, but, in ways we're manipulated. And he's like, oh yeah, we're manipulated. And he's like, so simulation, so it's fake? And I'm going, yeah, I see what you're saying. And so I have a big problem with this whole simulation theory. And I'm going, we live in reality. This is the hard and physical blood and guts reality. You make a decision, you do something, an action, and there's physical repercussions on every scale. Use of energy inside your body, or, you go splat on, in front of a truck or a bus or something. Things happen. What I'm saying is that things are physical and they're real. And let's say, even though we don't know about them, when we look further, when our technology gets better, like with the microscope, when we got to see microbes and cells, and we're going, oh my God, Antarctica, it's white because we don't really know what's there. In our dream, we never went there for real, so we can't ever dream about it. We never, it's white, it's completely blank. But getting back to simulation and reality, it's a curious three different things that we deal with. We have the physical world where things happen. We have the dream state, as I think I've talked about before, and it's a sort of reality. It's a non-physical reality. But then even in the waking life, we have the thought, the idea that emanates inside the brain, inside a space that's, I mean, it's a physical space, but the thought, the idea is a non-physical sort of characteristic of that physical matter. So we sort of like exist even in the waking world in our own headspace. We see things how we want to see them. We have our own inner monologue, and that's completely separate from the physical world unless we verbalize it or, by cause of our action, do something, which, there's physical consequences. You can't go back. You can't, Humpty Dumpty can't be made. He can only be broken. Well, he can be made. Well, okay, chicken and the egg. That's a wrong analogy.
Well, put that together again. I get where you're going.
Lawrence said something earlier that I didn't quite. He was mentioning something about the physicality of Earth, and I don't know if there was if he could bring me up to speed on that, because you said something about the physicalness, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he was talking about the colonial projection. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
Well, if we assume that the Earth was created and it wasn't the ridiculous Big Bang and just a bunch of rocks that accumulated over time, whizzing through space with, getting hit by some comet made of water to provide the oceans, which I can't buy that for 1 minute, then the place was created. If you look at the size of it, then, whoever made it would have to be a giant beyond all scales ever discussed. You'd have a giant thousands of miles tall, or a construction guy or a team of people, like we would make a model on the table. They would be making the Earth on their table, or in a shed or something. In a an order of magnitude so much bigger that is getting beyond your imagination. So, and if you could actually build something this big, then you'd probably have the power to simulate it as well. So
that's a very good thought.
Why would you go to the problem of building something this big? If we were,
well, this big is all relative, though, Lawrence. Okay, if you then take your mind to the Men in Black movie where you've got the cat with the little bauble hanging on its neck, and that's supposed to be what, Orion? Okay, inside the little ball. Did you see that movie, either one of you guys, Men in Black?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you didn't, Lawrence? You did see it?
I've only watched
You get the little
clips
you get
of
the
it.
little bauble on the cat's neck, and it's
Yeah.
called Orion's belt.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the entire universe is inside that little ball.
Right.
All right. So it's all relative. Scale and size is relative to the builder. Okay. If a human is making a dollhouse, then they got to make little bitty furniture and little bitty beds and, you know, little bitty toilets. Okay.
Made out of ticky tacky, and they all look the
Made
same.
out of ticky tacky. Yeah.
Take one.
And so scale is relative to the builder. So, you know, what if God made us, our creation, and it's as big as the bauble on the cat's neck? To him?
I had something for the Bible people, which
Okay.
would have been nice to, if they're listening. What if the flat earth has nothing to do with God? What if God isn't responsible for the flat earth? They talk about the little blue marble being out in space, and it's just a mystery, and just by happenstance that it showed up, and, you know, there is no God, and we're all, you know, atheists. Well, you know, people could have the same argument about the flat earth. It's just a game space that has, I don't know, it's just there. And maybe God and the devil are just influences on that game space, you know. But I'm not gonna go in any further than that. I'd like to stick in the fact that this is a physical manifestation, you know. Or I was looking up the word manifestation in the thesaurus, and, you know, there's physicality. There's not too many, you know. I looked up simulation as well, and I don't know. This is a physical manifestation. Manifested by what? By who? By where? By what means? I don't know. But it's physical here. I mean, if you don't think it, you know, if you think this is a simulation, then just go out and do whatever the hell you want. Apparently, I mean, go test the limits, the bounds of the simulation.
Okay, I hear you. And
Go crazy.
in the Matrix, you know, they took Neo up to the top of the tall building. And they said, you know, jump over there. You if you think you can, you can. And of course, once he took off, you know, jumped, apparently everyone fails the first time because it's a faith-based thing where, you know, the minute you see you're up over open air, you kind of lose it and you splat on the ground. And so, but talking about physicality and mass and all that stuff, have you ever hit yourself in the thumb with a hammer?
Ouch. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but literally, I'm asking the question: have you ever hit yourself in the thumb with a hammer? Have you ever cut yourself badly with a razor blade, not just a knife, a razor blade? Have you ever recognized, Lawrence, what are you doing? Okay.
It's all right. It's all right. I was just looking for something.
Lap shot. The things we do for the audience, right? So, okay.
You can't see how untidy my desk is. Just to prove I'm not an agent. This is my work desk. Okay?
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's awful, Lawrence. That freaks me out. I couldn't live with that.
I do tidy up once in a while.
Okay, don't ever show me that again.
And do you know
Okay,
what?
so wait, come on,
My dog
guys.
got my printer today. This is
has gotten to his brain.
This is the fourth printer I've had in the last 2 years, and they're manufactured to go wrong after 6 months. because the labels don't come out, and you have to go and buy another one. They're seal units, so the glue
It's called
gets covered up
plant
in it.
obsolescence. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that, Lawrence.
I know.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
terrible.
No, so no, wait, please. Okay, so the thumb is holding the nail, okay, and the hammer comes down and the thumb, and then you have this instant before the pain actually registers on your brain, and you know it's going to hurt. Like you already know before you feel it. Okay. That kind of thing. Same with the knife. Okay. I've sliced myself with a razor knife many times because I use them a lot. I mean, down to the bone a few times. Okay. And it's still stubbing your toe. Same thing. Get up in the middle of the night to go to the potty and then bang into the bottom of the head of the foot of the bed or the whatever, or the door casing. And the minute you hit it and you're just like, you have to before it even gets there, because it helps dull it a little bit. Okay. If you do the before it actually boom hits the brain, that kind of thing screams simulation to me. I don't know why, but it does. Okay. If you were able to create feelings, emotions, and all that, pain.
Well, that's interesting sorry.
If you were able to create that in a simulation, okay, it's not just a game where, you got the game controller and you're in the game and you're doing the virtual reality in the game. But if you felt pain every time you ran into a wall, the person who's playing, it would change the game, wouldn't it? Or if your little guy didn't just go, boop, 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 and die, and then you got to start over. If he really laid there and went, oh, blood came out and it was really more simulated, it would change the game, wouldn't it?
What game's that one, though?
Laughing, John.
Are you talking about those motor car racing games that they have?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of virtual reality
you go on the
games.
grass or hit a tree, but
yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one I went into I actually used to have one when I used to own a nightclub years ago, and it was a car driving game, but it was you sat in a chair, you had a steering wheel, you looked in a screen in a box, and you drove. I mean, and how you drove the steering wheel drove the car. And so you had to avoid all these things and stay on the road and go real fast if you wanted to actually get points. So you had to accelerate or you had to brake, and it was part of the deal. And there were these cows along the side of the road. And one time somebody distracted me and I was driving and I went off the road and I hit the cow and big chunks of steak flew out onto the screen of the of the road. And the cow, I hit the cow and it turned into big chunks of meat flying everywhere. Okay. So that's virtual reality in a lesser scale. So I don't know.
Well, how about this? A simulation, there would not be any physical repercussions. In a physical manifestation, there are physical repercussions. There are, when you play a game, you don't get all blood and gutty. You're just fine. You're like, oh, there's the accident in front of me. Oh, well, I got one more player. Woo.
All right, John. Well, let me ask you something. Have you done any research into NDEs? Do you know what that is?
Refresh my memory.
Near-death experience.
Oh, I had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you leave your body?
I had a near-death. No, but it was quite interesting. I was almost going to roll my car going to work one day on the Taconic State Parkway, and there was this oily spot. It was, it was not in the rush hour traffic. It was towards my destination in Westchester, and I hit this oily spot. This car in front of me stopped short, and I did the and on that second part, I was like, oh my God, I'm probably gonna flip this car the next time I turn the wheel again. And what happened was I did like a more than 180 and almost a 360, but more than a 180, and the car just veered off onto the side of the road. onto the left side. And I'm just sat there going, what the hell just happened? I was literally in my head going, I'm going to flip this car and this is going to be bad. And I was like, last steer. And that was it.
Okay, so you
And
didn't
I was
actually
flying
die.
the rest of the day.
I mean, I've got
I'll put it this way.
All right. The reason why I'm asking is I'm talking
It
about
could go either way.
near-death experience means
Okay.
there's near death and then you died and you came back. Okay.
Well, there's the thought that every time you die, you come back.
All right. Well, I'm talking about people who die and make reports. They come back. They were dead for a while. And I mean, not like days or anything, but minutes and long minutes, tens of minutes. And they talk about leaving their spirit leaves their body. There has been an experiment done where they, tested the weight of a body when a person dies versus after death. And I think it's something like some grams, 17 grams or something. I don't know what it is. So don't quote me on that, but, less they weigh when they die than they did before, if you're counting grams. But what I'm talking about is people that make a report, that write books or go on the speaking tours that tell about their near-death experience. Because death, I guess, is really pretty final. So you have to call it near death because you didn't stay dead. Okay. So they, they report hovering above their body, and they've been people go and, tap people on the shoulder, and nobody's paying attention to them because they're not physical anymore. And the whole thing about going to the light, and the family was there and says, no, you can't stay. You got to go back. Or there's the people who say they meet Jesus, and go on a trip to heaven. Okay. Oh, okay. Not everybody can buy into that. Okay. I mean, maybe it was a dream state. You don't know. You have no idea because you weren't there. Okay. You weren't in this lucid dream state, whatever it is. So, there's questions to be answered that are crossovers to these different issues. Okay. With regards to, is that simulation, are we in a simulation or are we not? Because they showed you in the Matrix sort of the concept. People are hooked up to machine, they're in a pod, they're jacked in, with the tubes, all down their arms and their legs and their backbone and their brain, and they're getting simulated and stimulated by the Matrix itself. They believe they're in it. I mean, they believe they're living in this world, right? Now, I know it's a movie, so, I'm going with that. I know it's not real, but I don't know that it's not real.
Laura, you touched on it a few times now, but I don't think you've drawn it out to its logical conclusion. But virtually everybody has routines, don't they? Now, some people's routines are so routine that nothing changes in their life from the day they leave school. They'll be doing the same job, well, in the old days, certainly, same job, eat the same food, same house, they don't move home. So if they were in a computer simulation, they're going to not require very much power or file space or whatever. Right. And then you're going to have, I mean, think about it. For you to actually go and decide to do something different, completely out of the norm, it's a big thing to do, isn't it? And lots of people just, I can't be bothered doing it. I'm going to stick with what I know because it's easily. And that's probably what they want people to do, because if you're going to learn something different, I've decided to start playing the guitar. So whoever's coding me is probably thinking, oh shit, how good does he want to be? If he wants to be really good, that's going to be an awful lot of code to get him good,
Should I? Well, no. Or should I discourage him by making his fingertips hurt, by breaking strings all the time? It costs a lot of money. So on and so on. The dog. You got a new dog now. The dog ate the guitar. I mean, there could be a lot of different ways to discourage you. But yeah, believe me, I've thought about all these things. If people knew where my brain went sometimes and what I think about, I mean, I probably would have like only 3 friends, and right now I have 4. So, you know, I'm able to kind of hold it together. But I'm a multi-potentialite. Okay. I didn't know that's what I was, a multi-potentialite. Okay. I listened, somebody sent me a video of a TED Talk that talks about multi-potentialites. And I watched the video and I'm like, okay, yeah, I fit, that's me. And it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not a horrible, terrible thing. But a multi-potentialite is a person who likes challenges, likes to learn new things, maybe a whole new career or a business or something. And then as soon as you're kind of in it and doing it and whatever, now you're bored and you want to go do something else. Okay. And unlike those who would stick with a career their whole lives, you know, and get the gold watch and
the little boxes,
golden parachute at the end of the deal.
Yeah. Boxes.
What is that scratching? What is that scraping, scratching noise?
That's John, I think. Oh, is it me? Is it John?
It's probably you, Lawrence. You're always.
I don't know.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if the entire world, though, you know, sorry, John, if you imagine the entire world all decided to do something different all at once, it would.
Oh, I mean, that would be utter chaos.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It needs too much processing power, and then there would be a big glitch or whatever, or something.
Well,
yeah, they'd have to stop.
You know, I was just thinking along
sleep.
those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Dark City.
No, I was
Dark City. They had to reset every day. The guys underneath Dark City had to reset everybody. Isn't that how that worked? Every day they had to reset. So
how different would your life be
if you're a multi-potentialite and you have to keep learning new stuff, you're going to need to jack into the matrix. You know, just like in the movie, you know, oh my God, I have to fly this helicopter. And so they, you know, stick the thing in and, oh my God, I know jujitsu or whatever. Isn't that what he said? Okay. So how hard would it be to input new data and abilities to anyone? If you don't request it, if you're bored, which is one of the reasons for the phones and the boxes and the stuff, keep everybody, this is easy, this part, keep everybody occupied, keep everybody, you know, tuned in, focused on this thing. And then you don't have to, you know, do a whole lot more because like 8 hours of it is sleeping. So you only got what is left, 16 hours left over.
How different would our lives be if every decision we normally make throughout the day, we made a completely 180-degree different decision? That, like, how different would our lives end up at the end of the day? And how different would a life, you know, end up at the end of a week, at the end of a month? If every decision you made was random and just by the whim of your thought in the moment, where would you be? What would happen? My, would it be exciting? And perhaps maybe I would dare to say, as is in line with you guys are saying, is it's not the Earth that's the simulation, it's life that's the simulation. Maybe it's our whole life is, you know, we simulate everything.
I've thought about that too, and I've done the kind of mental separation of which part of it's biological and which part of it is, you know, is simulated and controlled. For example, if tomorrow everybody decided to take a different route to work in their car, okay, all over America or all over the world, and instead of going down, you know, A Street to B Street and waiting at that light, and you know exactly how long you have so you can put your mascara on and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then instead you go down Q Street to R Street to T Street and go to work. And you know, if everybody changed their they've got actually, this is the funny part. This is traffic flow organized. What we have right now is organized to the traffic, they say. Couldn't be more not, right? I mean, every time I go anywhere, I'm like, why is that light turning red right up there, right as I'm leaving this light now? I mean, how hard is it to keep the traffic flowing 30 miles an hour down this freaking street? This is not rocket science. Let the computer do it. Take the person who's doing it off the job, okay? Because they're doing it wrong. And so I guess I've thought, that all of this is organic and real. But like Lawrence said, why would you create all that unless you just could, and you just did? And maybe it's recreated from before. Maybe everything was silicon based before, and you burned it all up, and then you made it carbon based, and now you're doing it another way this time. John, it's you with the scratching noise.
Oh my, I'm sorry. My bad. I'll mute.
Is your microphone? No, is your microphone rubbing on your shirt or something? Maybe that's what it is. Okay, that's what it is.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
That's why they've got us, because we are so predictable. They know exactly.
Well, they've made us predictable. Okay, here's a way to make you predictable. Okay, make everybody's job basically, for the most part, from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Okay. Second of all, make a really great TV show and put it on at a certain time every week, once a week. We know where everybody's going to be at that time, or a whole bunch of them. Okay. Give there for a while. The big push was to make sure everybody could afford a computer of some kind. And if they can't afford some big desktop thing or a laptop thing, give them one of these. Now everybody's got one. Okay. And make it accessible to go online anywhere. Okay. Put it through the phone, or make Wi-Fi. I mean, how many cities have Wi-Fi free at the library or every coffee shop known to man, and so on and so on. So the more you keep them distracted, and the more you, program, got to go watch my program, soap operas every afternoon. Back in my mom's day, watched 2 or 3 of them, in a row, and made sure she got up and did the dishes and got the laundry started, and so she could sit down and watch her program. And so I believe a whole lot of people are in the matrix, and there's some that are not. And I think the some that are not is a very small percentage.
Yeah, most of the flat earthers think they're enlightened, but most of them are caught up in their own little matrix within this, so-called truth movement.
Well, how many of them I saw that I thought would get it, that, the elections are rigged, the president is selected, not elected, all that stuff. How many of those did I think would get that? And I'm going down through my news feed on Facebook, Trump this and Hillary that. And I'm like, wait, this is part of the matrix. This is part of the system that we're trying to stop and revamp, isn't it? Or am I the only one who thinks that? I mean, how hard would it be? Why is everybody afraid if suddenly on April 15th of 2017, everybody decided not to pay their income tax or file their income taxes? No filing, no paying, no filing. Okay. If everybody does it, they can't arrest everybody, right? And yet everybody's like, well, I don't know. I don't want to be the only one, because I don't know if everybody else is doing it. And it's like a game of chicken, right? Go right up to the last minute and they're, oh, I better go file because I can't handle getting in trouble from the system. Don't want to get in trouble.
I know, and I think we can actually predict the future to a certain extent about your own lives, and sometimes you do things, and then afterwards you thought, well, how did I know that? So about a month ago, I'd stuck on my eBay account that I would be extending my range of organic oils to about 50. Well, to do that, I would have had to spend about, $25,000, and I hadn't got 25 cents. Well, I had, but I hadn't got $25,000. And then I was just checking what I'd put in my comments on my listings, and I thought, and now I've got the money. The money's come to me, but I had a means of getting the money. It's a unique idea to get it, and legal. So my thoughts actually became reality. I'd put something down that I hadn't got any means of fulfilling, it would take me to save
manifested it.
$25,000 would take me an awful long time, but I managed to acquire the money, and that thought became a reality because I believed it was going to happen. I didn't know how it would. I didn't know how it would manifest. I didn't know the source of the money, but it.
Well,
it
but
came
that's where
to
a
me.
lot of people say that's God's choice, Creator's choice. If you wish it,
Did
you
you say
really
anything out
don't.
loud?
Yeah, you don't. Well, did you say anything out loud, Lawrence?
No, I wrote it on the screen.
Oh, you wrote it. There's the same thing.
I said in the next couple of months I will be extending my range of oils because at the moment I've only got about 15 organic oils, and I'm going to extend it to 50. Well, some of these oils cost a fortune.
All right, so he wrote it, just like
I wrote it down.
John, Lawrence, do you still have the quinoa sitting there on that messy desk of yours?
Yeah. So there we go.
Okay.
This
For
one
those
says.
for those who didn't see the video from last night, how many
Can you
months
read
ago
that?
was that?
It was. I think it was July. What does that? Can you read what that says?
Love, gratitude, and thank you.
Yeah. Well, when you open this one, it still smells as sweet as the day I put it in. There's not a speck of mold in it. You can see what's in it. I'll turn it all around. And this other one, so that says love, gratitude, and thank you, words. And this one says, I'm not taking the top off because it's putrid and stinks. It says hatred. You make me sick. I will kill you. And inside,
Turn it around, Lawrence, so
it's
people
full
can
of mold.
see it.
It's full of
Turn it
mold.
around the
Yeah.
face of it and see.
I'll hold my breath and take the top off.
No, don't. You don't have to.
There, can you see it again?
Oh,
You see the mold?
oh,
Did you
it's
see the
so
mold, John?
nasty.
Yep.
And that one says what? Hatred?
That one says hatred. You make me sick. I will kill
I
you.
will kill you.
And that's what it's done to the contents of that. Because these two bottles, these were jars of jam, and I just scrubbed them all out, cleaned them with boiling water, let them cool down, and put the quinoa in, seal the lids. And the only thing different between one and the other is the words on the label, because the labels are exactly the same as well.
So words, the written word is just as powerful or close to as powerful as the spoken word.
Yeah.
And so obviously that would be intention, but you have said the words. You said the words the day you put them in the jars, if you remember correctly.
Words were, yeah. Yeah.
You showed us on the screen and you said the words that were written on there then.
Yeah, but I wasn't willing it to go rotten in one and stay good in the other, just to prove a point. I just wanted to do the experiment to see what had happened, because I've seen it on YouTube.
Well, I remember we waited several weeks and nothing happened to either one of them. I mean, they were both the same. Yeah. And you know, we looked at them, but I didn't know you still kept them. So that's actually pretty amazing.
See, he who waits, everything comes to he who waits.
He who waits.
Here's the secret, Lawrence. You wrote it down and you thought about it, and you also uttered the words. Those are three things. You did it in, you know, three ways. Now here's the secret. Everyone always says the power intention, you speak your words and whatever, but nobody understands why that works. I think I alluded to that. Here's the secret why it works. It's because everything we watch on the box on the TV is always somebody talking to us, like I'm talking to you right now. So you're listening to my voice, or you're listening to somebody else's face and voice saying something to you, getting you to think or do something that they want. Control, in a way, or, you know, advertising, whatever. It's still a form of control. But here's the thing. When you say it to yourself, you hear your own voice. So you hear your own voice repeating your thought and your idea, and you're feeling your emotion. It's when you say those things sometimes in duress or stress, and all of a sudden, you know, it happens. You know, some little thing happens, but just because you said it, well, it's because you heard your own voice say it. It came from your head, out your mouth, went back into your ears, and it was the repeater loop. And that's the secret, is you need the repeater loop to hear yourself to go, oh, yes, the ego said it was possible. Well, I, the id, will believe it. Or vice versa.
I have to agree with that 100%, John, because in my work, as a female trying to do oftentimes work that typically men do, I'll run into something that needs strength that I don't have, just because I'm female. I mean, I just don't have it. And, you know, you learn coping mechanisms to overcome certain things, like you learn to use levers, come-alongs, you know, robo-grip wrenches, buy a certain tool that adds to the strength that you have, and or two hammers, you know, trying to get this board apart. You put a hammer here and then you put another hammer here and you just work them in. Okay. But there's been times when something will fight me back, a rusty bolt on something I'm trying to take apart. And I have patience and I have patience and I have patience and I keep working it. And then sooner or later, I will say, I will win. You will give up. I will win. Don't even think about it. I will beat you. And within a very short period of time, if I stay at it, I will win. And I know I didn't have any more strength, because the longer you try to do something, the less strength you have versus the more strength you have, because, you know, you kind of get worn out with the whole thing. And so I know that the power of positivity and all that kind of thing will help and will manifest. But, you know, again, this is where you have to define how much of this is you and your connection to whatever the creator thing is, you know, you and God, you and the higher power, you and the universal connection to everything. How much of it is that, and how much of it is destiny, programming? Programming can mean lots of things, okay? You are programmed to be a winner. Certain people, I think, are programmed to be winners. Some people are programmed to be losers. Some people overcome their loser programming and they get out of the ghetto, or they, you know, got a scholarship and went to a great college and got to become a lawyer, and so on and so forth, okay? And you hear these Cinderella stories all the time.
Yes.
Okay. So what part of that, okay, I'm halfway at this point between the whole thing. It's easier in my mind for the whole thing to be a simulation than it is for it to be halvesies. Because with the whole thing being a simulation, here's the part where I kind of go over there with my thinking. Let's say God created a perfect system, the earth, the trees, the symbiosis between how everything works, each system, that little flower cup thing that has the poison in it that the fly comes up and falls down into and it eats, or this other one that has the little sugar thing that makes the bug go in there to get the sugar so it can be pollinated, yada, yada. Okay. So there's the perfection of the creation. All right. And then you introduce humans into that mix that think more than all the other creatures. And now you've entered, you've created the chaos theory automatically. It's the more they think, the more they're capable of thinking, the more they're capable of doing wonderful things and absolutely horrible things. Okay. But somewhere along the way, this evil, which a lot of people that don't believe in God and creation don't believe in good and evil as forces of creation, the yin and yang theory. But let's say there's, an evil entity that comes in, and we'll just call it like a Trojan horse malware virus thing. that enters the computer, enters the system, and starts munching code or converting code, turning ones into zeros and carving a path of destruction through it. Okay. And the creator has to decide, okay, if the creator was capable of creating all this stuff, the creator has to decide, do I shut this down and stop it in its tracks, or do I let it go to see what happens? Because this is, you know, I can start all over and I can reset the button, hit the GFI switch, reset and start over anytime I want. So do you let this evil manifestation go and start, you know, chewing into the program? And I mean, think about it. Wiping out lots of rainforests and poisoning the water and corporations generally, and you let it go to see how it's all gonna turn out and see what your creation does under this duress, this stress. What do you think?
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to go off at a tangent again, but
go ahead.
Well,
I did.
Laurie,
I do.
when you were spouting your pearls of wisdom about all these bits coming together, about the sun, etc., I'd like you to give us a running commentary of the simulated sun at Casey Station, and your observations that tell you that it's, you know, when you look at it, that it's a simulation. So here we go once more. The black dot. We have the black dot on this show.
The black dot.
Any other show.
The one that has now been determined to be 23.4 degrees angled.
I don't have any problems with full screens. Unlike you, I don't know where that is, but there we go. Let's watch it again. I'm sorry, that's part way through. Let's take it back to the start.
You don't have any problems with full screens because you're not running the show.
Okay.
Okay, you're presented, no matter what anybody says.
So are you saying this is a simulated sun, Laurie? This, what we're seeing here? Laurie, is that
you know, this black dot thing is going to be the bane of my existence before we figure this out. But the black dot on the roof of the shine on the roof edge there says it's the camera. Okay, that says it's the camera. It doesn't say anything else to me, but the sun cannot possibly be going south of south at any time of the year unless either A, we live on a globe like they said, or B, it's either a simulated sun, or C, it is an anomaly caused by the reflection of the ceiling of the celestial ceiling of Earth. And I can't understand how to explain it any better than that. But the simulated sun thing, when I did see that they have actually created a sun simulator and that they have got it up in the sky, that immediately started screaming to me that what we're seeing at the extreme south and north poles is a simulation.
There you go. There's the enlarged black dot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so let's continue the Casey. There we go, back on. Let's watch the second half of the day. It's just in little bits.
John, don't you agree that the black dot on the shadow, or I mean on the right white reflection on the rooftop says you're muted, says it's a simulation? Or I mean, says it's the camera?
Yeah, that's the only thing, is because it shows up on the roof again. I
Mhm.
mean, it's and I think we've seen it in spots where it shows up on multiple roof reflections, like on the roof, and on the roof of a tractor as well. So it's like twice showing up. I'd like to get a dual mode camera and try it myself, in the light of day from this latitude.
Right.
I mean,
'Cause that's
honestly,
what they have at the station, right? Is a dual mode camera.
yeah, dual mode. So
Okay.
it's like IR and visible spectrum. So the curious thing about the iPhones is, if you take your iPhone and look at one of these security cameras, like in any building they have with the IR lights, that's a ring around the camera lens.
Mhm.
You'll actually see with your iPhone, you'll actually see it'll pick up the glare of the IR. It does. It's very fascinating. Some are brighter than others, but I've witnessed it. I've done it. It's fascinating. And
John, sorry. Look,
yeah.
it's almost dark there now. It's getting quite dark, or darkish, but we've still got the black dot. So how can that be the camera
Yeah.
malfunction?
See, that's the weird part of the anomaly too, is the fact that, because that to me says
Yeah.
probably simulated.
Simulated
think,
how
John?
then? That's the big.
Simulated
Yeah, no,
sun. The sun simulator.
I mean, unless they're like doing it just to
Have you
keep the
watched the
people in the
video?
polar regions happy.
Laurie, do you
Well,
want to play a
okay.
bit of
Yeah.
that video that had got that
No,
Masonic thing?
I want to say this because, okay, whenever they do things, it seems like there's more than one reason to do it. Okay. It has multiple benefits to them. Okay. So let's say, for example, if you want to explore more south of south than you have explored before, you need to light it. I mean, it's pretty hard to explore in the dark. Okay. And the farther you go south, the darker it would get, right? Naturally. If you're in Antarctica and the most south the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn, all right? How can that sun penetrate past the center of the end of Antarctica, whatever the end is, okay? So if you were going to create two things, you were going to create light for this dark area, and you were going to create heat for this dark area so that you could inhabit it better. And that's beyond the cold part, okay? Maybe over into the edge of the next realm, all right? Then you got to cover that by making up some ad hoc reverse engineered theory for why that happens, right? So you come up with, we've created a sun simulator for Antarctica, all right? Because they're telling it now. It's not just, hocus pocus conspiracy theory. They're putting plans and projections, and Boeing is openly talking about it and showing the patent. And you don't show a model of something if you haven't created it and gotten it patented, because you just don't let anybody else know, because then they're going to beat you to it in this world. So you talk about global warming and you make a big hoo-hoo out of it, and that the ice is going to start melting in Antarctica, and the Arctic, already melts in the summertime, blah, blah. So you create a sun simulator for your own benefit, and a side effect of it is warming in that area, okay? And you go ahead and tell people this is what we're doing, okay? And I've actually backpedaled quite a bit now on what satellites mean, all right? Because I couldn't go with satellites as long as we had this finite enclosure because they can't orbit. All right. But then wait, Pac-Man and the sun does, and the moon does, and stars do. So why can't that? Okay. So as long as you can figure out a way to get them up there and hold them up there, and now you can go on YouTube and you can go and you can search out satellites being launched from Antarctica with what looks like weather balloons. All right. And you go there and you watch the video, and you'll see these sort of maybe 1/3 to 1/2-ish looking filled weather balloons. Huge. I mean, they're huge. Lifting these multi-ton satellites up off of an arm thing, you know, where they hold them up this, and then they inflate the balloon, and then it starts rising, and then it lets loose of its hitch, and then it floats up away. And you think, how's that weeny little balloon amount of helium going to lift this several thousand pound thing? But everybody knows, as you gain altitude, air or helium in the balloon does what? It expands. So no wonder they only set them off half filled or 1/3 filled, because as they rise, the gas expands in there, and it's a big balloon now, and it just floats that stuff up there. What's it floating up there, and who's up there to put it together? Somebody's got to be up there putting that shit together. Okay. If they're making a sun simulator, they didn't get up there all by itself, all put together. Okay. So there's some questions here that need answers that are not getting them. And nobody's asking them because nobody wants to believe that there's sunlight in Antarctica.
I got a question. I have a question. How long has global warming, the idea of global warming, been around? Because that Boeing patent was from 1966. When did global warming start to be an issue?
Probably, I think if I remember correctly, it started coming in right about the time peak oil started being talked about.
Okay.
They were talking about a mini ice age in the mid 70s, and there was documentaries on British television about it. And then I think towards the end of the 80s, then global warming started moving in and became more and more prevalent. You know.
Well, I mean, do you hear about the hole in the ozone anymore? I mean, that used to be like a huge thing in the 70s and or in the 80s, was the hole in the ozone, and everybody's got to stop using aerosol underarm deodorant and hairspray, and everybody's got to stop putting the Freon, the bad kind, in their air conditioner. And now all of a sudden, we don't even talk about that anymore. As a matter of fact, you know what? Something's interesting, and I never put this connection together. Lead paint. Remember when it all of a sudden it's like, lead paint's bad. Now you got to have a lead paint assessment on your house. And if you have to disclose if you have a certain aged property and you're selling it to the next person, whether it's got lead paint in or not. And all these old buildings, where the public buildings where children can be, you got to remove the lead paint. And somebody made the connection, and I thought, brilliant. These waves, all these Wi-Fi's and waves and everything can't go through lead paint. They can't see through inside your house if you got lead paint on the walls. Lead paint. I mean, people who give x-rays all day long, what do? They go behind a lead-lined wall. What did they put on you when you get your teeth x-rays? A lead thingy thing, apron thing. I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that? Of course lead paint's bad. See? This is shit they do.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant, Lori. That is brilliant. Wow. Just that little bit of lead, that little bit of layer, and it just obscures
X-rays.
Yeah.
And certain rays, certain wavelengths, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what I'm talking about
No,
but you know what I'm saying.
No. My grandparents' house, they had a lot of pine trees, and they had a TV and a radio, and both of those things had an antenna. Okay, this was
Mhm.
back in the 80s, and they were like, oh well, you know, the signal doesn't come through sometimes on the radio or the TV because of the pine trees. I'm like, what? Because of the pine trees? And like, yeah, you know, the sap in the pine trees, it just doesn't let the signal get through or something. I was like, oh, fascinating. And lead paint, huh?
Lead paint. And you know what? All paint was lead
Who's
paint.
eating lead paint? Who's
I
eating
mean,
lead
nobody
paint? Come on,
eats
let's
lead
be.
paint. I mean, some little kid, if they were in one of those old, really, really old cribs, okay. But I mean, you know, that had lead paint on painted crib. But most people didn't have painted cribs. They had wooden cribs with like varnish, old-fashioned lacquer varnish on them. But you know, if a kid was going to stand there and look out the window next to the crib and gnaw on the windowsill and eat the lead paint, little bits of it. I mean, I don't know how much lead paint you'd have to eat to get lead poisoning, but there's no lead in paint anymore. And as a matter of fact, over the last several years, they've been redoing a whole lot of, because I buy a lot of paint, okay, because I'm a painter and I'm in house paint at the paint store. And even in the last 10 or 15 years, paint has changed dramatically, the formulas, because if you had an old, you know, paint book with the paint chips in it that you use to pick paint colors and you take them in people's houses, what do you like, this pink or this pink? The old ones, the colors don't match anymore when they change the formula, because the formula actual tint base changed as well as the paint formula. And so now it's all this low VOCs and, you know, a lot of plastics in it instead of, and we all know you can just shoot any kind of ray you want to right through plastic, right? So there's no light or heavy metals in it anymore.
When did that? What was the time scale on that, Laurie, for the lead paint? When did it all get banned? Was it in the 80s or?
I think it started. Let me look. I can Google it probably really quick. Lead paint banned. Pigment oxide banned from household paints in the United States since 1978.
Well, isn't that weird? Because at the same time, they introduced lead-free gasoline, didn't they? They didn't want the lead in the atmosphere either.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Lead-free gasoline came out about 1982, 1981, and there wasn't much uptake on it. And then they made it cheaper than the regular gasoline, and then people started to buy it. Until everybody's on lead-free gasoline now, aren't they?
Well, all I know is it's something now, another rabbit hole of research to go get into to figure out what's the deal with the lead. Because you know what? So here's another interesting thing. The DDT was another one that happened right about the same time. And I remember when I was a kid, I grew up in southern Indiana, and mosquitoes in the summertime were just brutal. And they would drive these mosquito trucks down the street right about dusk and spray DDT all over the neighborhoods, this big spray thing. And we literally used to ride our bicycles and follow that spray truck all around the neighborhood because we didn't have to go in until the street lights came on. I mean, I should be dead, right? I should easily be dead. and that was like a big thing, you know. They're going to turn right at Mrs. Jones's house and go down that street, and then they'll come back around to my street, and then I can cut off and go in my driveway and be home.
And at the same time that they removed the lead from the atmosphere, we've got the chemtrailing in the atmosphere. So is there a connection between lead and chemtrails?
I don't know, but I'll give you another one, okay? They introduced tobacco to everyone back in the, you know, it became a big Madison Avenue push right about the time that women's liberation got going and women got, you know, pretty freewheeling, and they were heavily promoting women smoking. You know, they were making it cool to smoke. And back then, women had, if they wanted to look cooler, you know, they had the, what do you call that thing?
Cigarette
holder. Okay. And it didn't really have a filter in it. It was just, it held the cigarette on the end, and it, you know, brought it through a longer tube than smoking this, putting your lips on the paper of the cigarette and getting tobacco in your mouth, which was not ladylike at all. And so, you know, they promoted smoking. I mean, everybody on TV smoked. The Marlboro Man billboards were all over the place. Everybody smoking. I mean, smoke them up, smoke them if you got them. And everybody smoked on trains and planes and automobiles and, you know, in buildings and everywhere, hospitals, everywhere you wanted, you smoked, until suddenly they decided, but the evolution of the smoking went from basically pure tobacco and non-filtered cigarettes to tobacco with additives, tobacco with flavorings like menthol, and then cigarettes with filters. Okay. And before you know it, they're connecting cancer with smoking. Now, there's probably going to be people who are going to just want to like shoot me in the head for saying this, but my dad smoked 5 packs of Pell-Mell non-filter cigarettes a day, almost his whole life. He lived to be 80. Okay. And he did a whole bunch of other bad things that you're not supposed to do. He ate bacon and butter and all those things. But my point is, suddenly smoking is going to kill you everywhere. No smoking. All right. And lo and behold, there are people who say that tobacco is actually good for you. Okay. So you can go all the way from one end of the spectrum to the other. But here's the issue. I smoked for 40 years, which is probably why I have this crappy, raspy voice, but that's a side thing. I smoked for 40 years, and suddenly, when I got to the point of quitting smoking, do you know why? Because I found out that they were putting oh crap, what's it called? That puts fire out.
Flame retardant.
Flame retardant. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. They started adding flame retardant to cigarettes. Go out if you didn't keep puffing on them, and they do. Because it used to be, if you lit a cigarette and you took a couple puffs and you laid it in the ashtray, it would just burn all the way down till it burned up. Then they put the flame retardant in there. Whose lobby decided to do that? The insurance lobby, because of the people who were smoking in bed and burning themselves up. That's what they said. Okay. So, I mean, when would that ever be good to inhale flame retardant?
Laurie,
Especially burnt flame retardant.
can we have a very short video clip, please?
Okay.
Let's just go with the flow. Sometimes get some good ideas, some bad ones, but maybe we'll get a few good ones. Let's just watch this little video.
All right, hold on. I can't get the chat to open, so I'm having to use stop. My mouse isn't working for some reason. Hold on. Screen share. It's a good thing I got touchscreen, huh? Application window, share. Application, share, share. All right, present to everyone. I got to get something with my mouse happening here.
You have to go back one.
Was that it?
Now the other one. Go back one.
You know,
That's it,
if you
this
were to
one.
follow a busy
Okay,
doctor
hold
who
on.
makes his daily
Oh, it's only a minute long. Thank
Oh, let's put
goodness.
it on.
At least we won't be singing this one, huh?
round of calls, you'll find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him. Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette. And because they know what a pleasure it is to smoke a mild, good-tasting cigarette, they're particular about the brand they choose. In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting
See how
a
sexy
cigarette
I
can
am
be.
smoking?
I remember that from listening to old Abbott and Costello shows.
Absolutely,
and-
me too.
Oh my God, Camel! Camel! It's got the nice. Oh wow! Amazing how
So,
they took
okay,
out. Yeah,
so,
go ahead. Sorry.
all right, so let's, okay, hold on, let me get that thing back. So let's think about the fact that they promoted cigarettes because why? They could make money off of them. I'm probably too loud now. Because they made a boatload of money off of them, right? So suddenly they don't want to make money off cigarettes anymore and they want everybody to quit. And so cigarettes give you cancer, and that's the end of that for a whole lot of people. Okay. At least over about 2 decades, it tapered off dramatically. Now the young kids are smoking again, a whole lot of them. Of course, you know, that is a youthful thing, sort of the renegade thing. My parents don't want me to smoke, so I'm going to. So I think, I'm just going to say, I think there was a ploy to make smoking tobacco bad for you. Now we just have to figure out why they changed from wanting to make money off tobacco to not promoting not smoking. But anyway, back to flat earth topics and simulation. We're getting close to being done. So I want to, Lawrence, I want you to, if you will, please describe what level of simulation you think we live in.
I think the physical world away from the surface we live on, I think that's simulated. The sky, the stars, the sun. I mean, I think.
I mean, you're certainly welcome to change your mind when more information comes in, but just from what you get.
Life is just a bit like a DVD, and we're just experiencing it as it comes along because we can't see it all at once.
I thought you were going to go all Forrest Gump on me for a second. Life is like a box of chocolates.
No, I don't know. I haven't watched that actually.
You never watched Forrest Gump? That's a classic.
I think all the future's mapped out anyway. You know, for
well, how else could they have predictions like they do? How else could they do things like the Illuminati card game and all that kind of stuff and predictive programming? I mean, are they manifesting it when they have predictive programming 10 years ahead and then it comes true and you go see in the movie they said this was going to come true. They didn't say when, but it did. So did they manifest it by predicting it?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they can manifest stuff because they know the rules of the game. If it's a simulation, then the question is it a game? And who's the game for? Is it for us? Is it for them? Or who control the game? Or is it for both? But
Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest player of the game would be the creator of the game, wouldn't it?
yeah, but
Why create something you don't want to play?
do you and John, do you both see life actually as some kind of game? Because I do. It's a game.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean-
absolutely do.
I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, there's been many
on-
times, Lawrence, when I'm going, all right, enough. You've
Do you know
really
what I've
screwed
said?
with me enough
Do you know
today.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what I said to Dell on Beyond the Imaginary Curve? And I said, Dell, because I was talking to him about it. I went on his show for half an hour. He had one of those people just come in. And I said, well, when I was talking about simulation theory, so I said to him, Dell, I said, if it's a simulation, then I suppose you could see it as a game. What do you think the outcome would be if everybody realized that it was actually a game? And he said, well, everybody's going to lighten up a little bit, aren't they? Well, you would, wouldn't you? You know, you'd think, fuck it.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I've had enough of this life. I'm just going to jump off a skyscraper or the big bridge, and I'm going to come back as a millionaire next time because this life's pretty shitty.
Now I know the game, right?
Yeah.
Now I know what entry point to come back in the next time.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Make sure you come in as a Rothschild the next time, and you're good to go.
People do take life too seriously all the time, don't they? I mean, for me, this is just I don't hold any great hopes of it changing the world in the short term. So for me, it's just a fact-finding mission to find out what's going on. Because the more you understand where you are, the more life's enjoyable, isn't it?
Right.
You know, I mean, but the more you shorten your circle of friends, if you've got any at all, because they're still caught out in this false paradigm that they've been indoctrinated with from birth, and then as you move deeper down the rabbit hole, I hate that phrase because it's David Weiss, but as you sort of refine the knowledge that you've got and get cool about stuff, you can lighten up about life.
Like you got on tonight.
While all the shit's going on around you, we just stay quite well chilled about it, and we don't get upset about stuff.
No, right. Exactly.
Well, except when you're driving, because when I'm driving and some bugger's very inconsiderate and they won't let me get my car out, I'll say, you bastard, or much worse than that. And then as soon as I've said it, I'll say, I'm sorry, because I don't want to start a chain reaction of him getting to work and, rattling
just curse him for the rest of the day.
Because that's what does happen.
Sure. I mean, I had a friend you couldn't have more shit happen to you than this guy did. I mean, just one shit thing after another. It was everything from, his wife died and his mom died. John, or somebody's ear thing is making racket again.
Sorry.
Somebody died, and and then he went bankrupt, and then he inherited this crappy house, and his mom died, and then the house burnt to the ground, and it was just one thing after another in a pretty short time frame. And I ran into him in town one day, and I said, oh my God, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry for, all your loss, and not just like your loss, but you like a mega loss. And I said, I don't know what keeps somebody like you from just blowing their brains out. And he said, oh, no way. He said, I got to see how this all turns out. There has to be a good back end somewhere in this, right? So why would you kill yourself? You're just going to see how this all turns out. And, after that, I thought, well, you know what? If he can have that attitude, then so should everybody else. And so, John, what do you think? Simulation theory. I know you already said once.
No, that guy's got a wonderful sense of humor. I like that. It's like,
oh, he sure does.
I'm gonna ride. I
tell you, it's happened to me before when it's been one thing after another. When I'm working or whatever, it was almost like the Three Stooges, just one goofball thing after another. And every once in a while, I just look at them and I go, "Go ahead, give me all you got." I mean, is this all you got? and I think, wow, that's pretty bold, because they're like, you can have a boulder fall on your head if you really, push it. But
if I'm lying, strike me blind, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I've never said that.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't. Yeah, Yeah, because you wouldn't see if there are any bugs in your food. But
So how
simulation
do
theory,
you think
yeah.
simulation theory, how far are you on this? Or you already said you don't think the physical world is simulated.
I think well, I kind of liked what Lawrence said, and I think about these choose your adventure books. Now I'm dating myself, and I keep thinking that the simulation it's not a simulation. I mean, it's a simulation when it's done. When you're done and you find out it's over and you find out what's next or how it all works, then you can say it's a simulation. But right now, stuck in the middle of it, there are little shortcuts. There's little magic you can play. I think I'm at this point to say there are hacks. There are hacks. Maybe you need to know how to use the hacks, but it's not about the physical world. I don't think it's about like, I'm gonna, Darth Vader, this boulder out of my way and it's just gonna move. I don't think it's necessarily like that. I think it's the power of mental actualization, that you can actualize something, give it an instance. It's instantiated. These are the words I was trying to think of before. Instantiation of a physicality that you actualize by the power of your mental manifestation.
Oh, you sounded like,
So it's a
like
mix.
some
So
big,
it's a mix.
serious physicist-y person or something just then. That was really
But yeah, Laurie, you've not
stringing a
answered-
lot of big words together.
If it's a
I read the
simulation, Laurie,
thesaurus.
John, Laurie, if it's a simulation, do you agree that it could be seen as a game of some sort?
Sure, why not?
Laurie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it was a game, what do all games have?
An ending,
Prize.
a beginning and an ending.
Prize.
Oh, a prize.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Oh.
how is this game going to end? Are they just going to turn off the computer? Or is it a game that goes on for infinity?
Well, okay.
Yeah, that you never get bored of.
Can I
That you never get bored
Can I
of.
jump in
Sure.
here? And I
Yeah.
think we've all played the game before. And, a lot of people don't believe in reincarnation, especially Bible believers, because it's, pretty specific about that. But if each simulation is its own game, then there wouldn't be such a, if all of us entered each game level, then it wouldn't be something like reincarnation. Okay. But how many times have you had people say things like, oh, they're an old soul, they've been here before? Or you have people who have past life memory or regression or whatever, and they go through and they remember, and they've proven that somebody they knew or were previously. It's like proven as much as you can prove it. Okay, so what if each time we enter the game, I mean, if we literally are spirit energy beings, okay, and we manifest ourselves in the game as a little zygote in whoever we choose to be born to, and I do believe you get to choose your parents. Not going to go a lot into that in my choice, but okay. And you live your life, and you do. Each of us probably get the better gamer we are. That depends on what level of success we have in the game. All right. Success not being measured by money, obviously. That's not what the game is about. It's the accumulation of acquiring money and things. It's about the game, and so I definitely think that I've played the game before, and think I've played it enough times where I'm having some residual coding that's coming along with me that shows me how to play the game better. But because I think as my life has progressed, I used to be much, much more patient with people and life, the universe, and everything than I am now. Okay. As I've gotten older, I, you know, I don't have a problem with stupid people anymore. I just think they're dead. Don't matter. And that's not the way I used to think. Okay. But yeah, I think that's why, Lawrence, that somebody like you and I hooked up in this game, to go through this permutation of this exercise together, was because we just don't care about a whole lot of other parts of it. I think I froze. We don't care about a whole lot of other parts of it than just getting good at the game and figuring out what game we're playing. I don't know.
I like your Albert Einstein quote.
Oh, yeah. It's the only thing I like about Albert Einstein, if he actually did even make that quote. What is that quote? I forgot it.
It's perfect
Hold
for
on.
what we're talking about.
So I've got a question for you both again.
Oh, wait, the quote is, you have to learn the rules of the game and then you have to play better than anyone else. Albert Einstein. That's the quote.
Laurie,
Go ahead, Lawrence.
John, another question to stimulate your brains. Okay, so Flat Earth is now heading into the realm of simulation theory. We will be arguing about what type of simulation it is. And was it God's simulation, or was it our descendants running a simulation of their ancestors? It gets crazier. Let's suppose we prove it is a simulation and the powers that be confess that they could no longer hide it. What you going to do next? Ask them to turn the simulation off? Or what are you going to do next? If they confess it's a simulation, what are you going to do?
Where are you reading that from?
It was a meme I did.
It was a what you did?
It was a meme.
A meme.
It's a meme.
Okay.
So it's common
All right.
knowledge. Everybody knows it's a simulation. They've confessed. We couldn't hide it anymore. You're right. It's a simulation. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to
do?
I'm going to answer that by going with the concept of the Matrix, for example, and those who broke out of their pods and became in the real world versus the simulated world of the Matrix lived pretty shitty. Okay. They had that soupy looking mushy goop they ate for food every day, right? They had crappy clothes with holes in them. They lived in this bucket of metal that they floated around in the, world with. They had monsters and machines and crap coming after them. Now, if you even take that part off, we're talking about, possibly a post-apocalyptic type world if you turned off the Matrix. Okay. Meaning, if in fact the Earth itself, the creation of Earth is real and biological, we just would go back to living off the Earth, the fruits of the earth. And it would be kind of dog eat dog, every man for himself. People would have to learn to defend themselves, be in groups and pods and take care of each other and start over. I, for one, am a big advocate of that. Okay. Because I believe that it's all about the human experience and not about the virtual fancy world society experience. Okay, that's my answer.
And John?
Yeah, any sort of virtual experience is just another form of control, like they say in the Matrix. I like the land of the real, even if it is a little scorched. The truthfulness of like what reality really is. If all of a sudden they turn off the machine now, we're turning off the simulation machine, and now everything that you're seeing is going to be like warped into a new vision. Like you look in the mirror and that's what you really look like. No, you lost all your hair because of the radiation. No, you have all these boils all over your face. No, you're living in a shack that looks like a nice house, but really it's just, you know, a van down by the river. And it's, you know, it's like, wait a second, cheated, plug me back in, turn it back on, turn the machines back on.
Right. Well, and that's what,
Yeah.
well, what was his name said
Tough
that
choice.
in the
Tough choice.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a tough choice,
so-
but like, yeah, I like your meme.
So-
That's a meme. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you know, if it did transpire that it was a simulation and we're in it, then to get, you know, maybe we can't get outside of it because we're in a lower dimension, or maybe we can take a red pill to get out of it. Would you want to stay where you are, or would you take the red pill
Red
and go into
pill.
the complete unknown?
Out. I'm out.
You want to get out of this simulation? What about you, John?
Oh my God, it's way
You
too.
know, but some people like this simulation.
Well,
They
fine.
don't want to
You
let
know
it go.
what? You could take the United
Some
States.
people just don't want to be unplugged, Laurie.
You could take the United States and you could split it in half, east of the, you know, Mississippi and west of the Mississippi, for example. Okay. And one side could be the unplugged side and the other side could be the virtual side. That would probably be California side. And let them, you know, be in the virtual world. And then, you know, the rest of us get to start over in the wild, wild east, whatever.
What if the grass isn't greener on the other side, Laurie? What are you
Listen,
going to do
I don't
then?
care. I
You'd
wouldn't
be saying,
have.
let me back in. I thought it was going to be better on the other side.
Well,
the grass is
no.
not greener outside this simulation. I
I'm
want
sure-
back in the simulation.
I'm sure-
Bring me back. Bring me back.
I'm sure there'd
No
be a
fun
whole
out
lot
of
of
it.
people. Stop screaming. I'm sure there'd be a whole lot of people who would love to get back once they realized out would be hard. Okay. But I'm one of the fortunate people, you know, my grandmother taught me about raising animals and raising vegetables, and my grandfather taught me about hunting and fishing and living off the land and finding the right mushrooms and knowing how to, you know, manage, build fire and whatever. Okay, so I know how to do all those things already. And but I don't think it would be very long before mankind would literally rebuild that shit in maybe, you know, 3 decades, if that long, because the memory would still be there of all the things you knew how to make and how to do and what you had. You might change what you did with it after, you know, the second time around, if it's within that one lifetime. But I would put the people outside the matrix, you know, head for head against the people. No, actually, like 5 of these for 100 of those. I'll take these 5. Okay. And because I know how free I would feel not to have to go to work, pay taxes, you know, get a car license, pay insurance, do all of those things that you have to work for to pay for because you have to have them, but you don't have no other way to pay for it except with money. You know, you have to have money. So, you know, I did my research into the resource-based economy concept, and I like it. I think it's a very valid concept.
Well,
all
let's
resources
say-
belong to all people, and they're all to be shared equally. Nobody owns anything. How cool would that be?
Yeah, let's expand the question a little bit further, Laurie. Let's assume that the powers that be say, yep, it's all a simulation. Now, you cannot opt out of it individually by taking a pill. We either turn it off for everybody or we leave it on for everybody.
Turn it off.
So is there going to be a vote on it? And is the vote going to be rigged?
Oh, the vote.
I hope
will
it doesn't
be
go to
rigged.
the Electoral College.
Yeah, the vote will
You know,
be rigged.
so
What would be the point of having the vote? Just like what would be the point that we just had the vote? You know, what would be the point? Somebody's already selected, so you just either going to cry about the selection because you actually believed you had a choice. It's all about what you believe. Okay. You know, I could sit down with 20 people who were plugged into the matrix. If you lock us in a room, me and 20 people plugged into the matrix, and you give me 48 hours, I'd have to let them probably go without sleep for a while to kind of get a little slap happy, so they would maybe start to listen. But I could convince people that you want to do this. You want to turn it off. I think I could.
Yeah, but
Because I have the positive, thought of how, I could just sit here and name you one after another, all the negative shit associated with society and the system, all the negative. And there would be no more having to worry about getting pulled over in a car, for speeding or for drunk driving or what. There would be no more of that. I mean, it would be anarchy, live under rules, no rulers.
so what would your plans be?
What if
then,
yeah.
What you're going to do with yourself if you decide, I'm getting out of the simulation because I want to get out and do something else? What are you going to do? What's your plans?
The only way it would work is if you can't get out by yourself. That's the problem. Everybody, it has to be everybody, or it doesn't work very well. Because in my world, there would be no boundaries, no states, no counties. You could go wherever you want to go. You could be wherever you wanted to be. You could do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, but it's not here.
No.
It's not on Earth. Simulation's the reality of being outside the matrix.
Oh, you mean now I'm unplugged from the system, and now where am I?
Well, I don't know.
If it's all a simulation, I got to be my spirit thingy has to be somewhere. Where does it go?
Well,
another game?
What if this isn't what it looks like? What if this isn't what we look like? If this is a simulation, then you go somewhere else and you don't remember what the rules are because everything looks different. You got blue leaves on like red trees, and you're like, wait a second, why is everybody upside down? And you'd have to like get reoriented. That's
well, let me just say that's pretty much how I felt when I got born here. Nothing about this place makes any sense at all. I've been saying that since I was old enough to think. Nothing about this place makes any sense whatsoever to me. So I'm not anymore. I'm not from this game. No, I mean all the way back. Okay, I was the kid in school that when the teacher talked about the flying spinning globe, I was the one that go, well, then how come we don't get dizzy? You stop making trouble. I'm going to give you an N on your report card. And if you keep talking like that, I'm going to give you a U, and your parents are going to have to come in, and you're going to have to go through special schooling because, you're just not fitting in. Must fit in the program. Okay. So yeah, I've been this questioner, this critical thinker all my life. Critical thinker doesn't mean I'm, critical about everything. Most people don't even know what critical thinking means. It means question everything, even no matter what they tell you. Question it until you understand and agree with the answer, the diagnosis, the whatever it is. Question it. And most people don't question anything. They don't even question the price of gas. Why is the price of gas going up right now? Nobody knows. Nobody seems to know, but everybody's pissed and everybody's griping about it at the gas station, but nobody knows why. Did suddenly we almost run out of gas?
Pissed is drunk.
Oh, pissed off. Okay, I'm learning.
Getting legless.
In UK, you have to say pissed off. You can't say pissed. You have to pissed is drunk. Okay, I forget that we have UK listeners. Sometimes. I know we do. I'm sorry. Pissed off. Okay, we don't say that anymore because it's like just adding too many words. It's superfluous.
And math is mathematics. It's not math. Math is a boy's name.
No, it's not.
It is. It's mathematics or maths.
It is.
Not math.
I say maths. I say maths.
Maths. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so suddenly now we're unplugged and we're giving each other, vocabulary lessons. So
the matrix is turned off and it's a complete unknown. So you're still going to take the red pill. You've got no idea where you're going.
Oh, absolutely. If I got no idea, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And
it's a one-way ticket. You can't come back. It's a one-way ticket.
I will always survive and I will always thrive. And if I don't, I'm one of the most self-competitive people. I don't compete with others, but I compete with myself all the time. Okay. I'm always after my own best, next best. So I would figure out, I'm very resourceful. I would figure out a way to survive. Thrive and survive.
Thrive and survive.
Okay, you know, if I could reach through the screen right now.
You sound as confused as Mr. Thrive and Survive, Laurie. I'd have serious reservations about that shit.
Everybody has to be somewhere, and I would be where the survivors are. Okay, and I would actually take responsibility to help others survive.
What if you had a dog?
That's
though?
my nature.
You know, and you
What if it's what?
You know, you're going to switch off the reality. I mean, all the people you know, you can't take them with you. It'd be just like your choice to.
Oh no,
switch it
it's
all
my
off
own
and go where
choice
it
all by
goes.
myself. Because once I realize this
Right.
is a game, okay, when you stop playing the game, you're going to go back to like Command Central or whatever. You're going to go back to the hive.
Well, no, there's no guarantee of that. They could turn the game off and you just don't exist and there's nothing.
Well,
You wouldn't know anything about it.
No, would you?
Switching off the game doesn't mean you're going to go somewhere else necessarily. It could mean that
Well, I
they
get
just
that.
turn all the power off.
I totally get that.
Your
It could be.
reality's ended. You
I
can't
get that.
come
I
back.
could have to make a tent out of whatever I can find and become a MacGyver and learn to survive.
They turn the game off, Laurie. Your consciousness goes. You just don't exist.
I
at
get that.
all.
You wouldn't know that what you don't know, would you, Lawrence?
No, but so you couldn't start making any plans if you weren't there.
Okay,
Gone.
now you're talking way too abstract. If you're gone, you're just gone. There, if it's the big sleep versus your entity goes someplace else, okay, which if you listen to any of those near-death experience people, you go somewhere, okay, and then you come back or you don't. You go somewhere. Lawrence, do you have Netflix? Do you have such a thing as Netflix over there?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
oh
right.
yeah.
I want you to watch. I want both of you guys to watch this new series they just came out with because it's a kind of a fun, possibly predictive programming, and the most heavy use of the color purple I've ever seen on any show ever. Okay, it's a series and it's called OA. All right, and OA. You don't learn right off the bat what OA stands for. So here's a little, what do they call it? Spoiler. OA stands for Original Angel. All right. So watch the series. I watched the first season. It's 8 episodes long. And I think there's a lot of little clues in this thing based on the fact that I've never seen so much purple in a show in my whole life. And that's that Illuminati, code color, right? But it's very good and it's well done. The acting is pretty well done, but the premise of the show is very good. And it has a really good twist, cliffhanger ending to it. So I highly recommend you watch it. Okay. But, my idea of unplugging from this simulation, if there is one, okay, is that I get my own mind back. I don't have dreams of weird shit going on in my head while I'm sleeping. Okay. I don't have thoughts pop in there that I'm like, that's not my thought. What was it? What is that? What is that coming from? Okay. I don't want to do that. I get back the ability to say yes or no to whatever it is I want to do. And I don't have the matrix society dictating what I must do to fit in. Okay, so I won't be going to any hoo balls, any like fancy dress up places anymore. I won't, there's a whole lot of things that I won't do that I don't want to do now. And I'll get to say, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. As a matter of fact, if I have any say in the rules, nobody's having any of that. There will be no gold fancy places to go and do things. Everybody
Right,
shares everything even.
Right. So you're going to take the red pill and opt out of this reality, what were your closing? What message would you have to the people that you were leaving behind?
I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh and sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time you have to say so long. Good night, everybody.
That's funny.
That's from the old Carol Burnett show.
Is it?
I would sing something
I
like
wouldn't look back. I wouldn't look back.
memories.
Yeah. I wouldn't look back, Lawrence. And there's a whole lot of people I wouldn't tell where I'm going.
Well, what
I
if they
want
don't
to
tell you
come.
whether, you know?
I don't know where I'm going, but you ain't coming with me unless you choose to come on your own, because I'm not going to like encourage you to come with me. There's a whole lot of those.
Well, yeah, I know.
You know,
Well,
like a whole lot of numbnuts that I would just go, you know, you guys have a really good
All right.
time. And actually, I probably wouldn't even say goodbye. I would just sneak off.
Another question then. All right. So let's assume that it's a simulation of some description. Is the off switch, is it within the simulation or is it outside the simulation? If somebody was going to turn it off, where would they turn it off?
It's really
from?
interesting that you asked that, because in the OA series, there's kind of an off switch, but people have to do it together. It's a combination of people doing something that makes it happen. So I think if and it would probably, you know, I don't know, maybe that's a good question, whether you would manifest your own off switch, you know, turn your 1 to a 0, all of them. You can just hear the little computer in there right now go, and just check out, or you know, that's a good question, because you would be responsible to turn it off for everybody. And is that a choice that you should be able to make? I mean, who are you to decide what is best for everyone? Isn't that sort of a democracy and a majority rules and, you know, kind of thing, versus who represents the minority? Do they get a voice?
Maybe that's what
What if
Morpheus
there's
was
5
saying.
people who
But
don't
then
want
who's
to
gotten
turn
there
off?
first?
You know, what did Morpheus say? Some people will fight to their dying death to avoid being unplugged, or something like that.
Well, but
Because
they
a lot of
don't.
people wouldn't want to be unplugged, would they?
Well, you'd have to know what unplugged, that you have a choice in order to make the choice. Okay, those are the people who haven't even gotten far enough yet to know that they even have a choice. And so here's the problem. Okay, and I saw this coming a very long time ago. I don't know what year it came out. I'm thinking in the 70s. The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, the television show. They would show every week all of these, you know, beautiful home. People had these beautiful homes and nice cars and luxuries, okay, because they have a lot of money. And those at home who live in their, you know, a little better than a shack in comparison, and have a crappy old car, and, you know, they're eating SpaghettiOs instead of steak tartare. I knew when I saw that they were, you know, sort of putting the show out there, that they were comparing people who are successful to people who were not, and they were just sort of rubbing your nose in it, you know, rub your nose in it, that these people got all this money. So you know, I'm kind of realistic about what is the basic necessities of life. What do people actually only need? But more people can be sold on, marketed to, you need this, and you got to have one of these, and if you're going to be anybody, you got to have that, and it's more and more. It's not just keeping up with the Joneses; it's just keeping up with, the base. So, without that philosophy, you would start over on what are the needs versus the wants, and so on. And that's one of the reasons why, when I studied the resource-based economy concept, it's based on, let's say, for example, a very smart computer database kept all of the resources of the world in its database, and how many people there are, and where everybody lived, and it, by agreement of everyone, it delved out the resources to everyone. It sounds very utopian, and it almost sounds a little communistic, but that way nobody owns anything and everybody shares everything. And it's kind of an interesting concept. I don't know if it can work. You probably would have to reprogram most of the people of society to kind of start over, move all the old people over here and start with the new people with this program to raise them in that philosophy. But I don't know, I'm getting off the track, but okay. So enough questions and answers. We've exhausted this avenue. So thanks for hanging out tonight, and I hope we kind of made up for last night, and had some nice viewer numbers of people who were watching, and thanks for doing that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Anything else, Lawrence? John?
It's getting late.
Yeah. It's very late over there.
Simulation theory is fun.
You've got those little boxes behind you, Lauren. Little boxes.
Simulation theory is fun, John, but what?
It's fun, but at the end of the day, as you say, we have to live in the real world. So unless someone can figure out how to turn that switch off, Lawrence, just like they turn the weather machine or the sun machine on, or even the air and water machine, well then, maybe as soon as a pipe stop flowing, maybe the simulation comes to a grinding halt. If anything, I'd like to be the one responsible for putting the wrench into the machine.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to try it. I'd just like to try it. I think we could build it all back if we really, really chose to, but I'd like to try it without. I've never lived in a non-system world like the system. We were all born into it, all of us. So, and we didn't get a choice on the system. We were born into the system. So, I don't know how you restart and have your own choice on what system you want to live under. It would be very individualistic, I'm sure, but I think you could. I think we could figure it out and maybe do better.
Here's another question. I know we might go over time a bit, but I mean, let's just imagine we got this. Let's imagine we got this beautiful, perfect world, and everybody's studying art and playing the violin and all this sort of stuff, and everybody's lovey-dovey and happy, and there's no conflict. Everything's so peaceful and calm.
I can dig it.
Would you not say, "Oh, this is so boring. I want some. I need some conflict. I thrive on conflict."
Actually, Lawrence,
my soul.
Okay.
But people do.
Those people. No, yeah, those people, they do all you want, but you go over there and do it, okay? You go over there and do it, because you know what? I can honestly say that I have been bored maybe a few hours in my whole life, all right? I don't get bored. You know why? Because I can always entertain myself. I can always create something. I can always come up with something to do or think about or make up my own game, okay? Or just go be by myself and think and walk and do. I'm
Yeah, I
never
know, but
bored.
wouldn't you get fed up if everybody was nice to you all the time?
No,
You
no.
wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I
You
might.
mean like if nobody ever cut me off in traffic again?
I'd think that nobody's being real.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because you were raised with conflict, okay? I had it hid under my desk when I was a kid in school. Don't look at the light, drop in cover, the commies are coming to get you, okay? I've been in conflict since I'm a little kid. So
Yeah.
I could do with some no conflict and see how it is, see how it works. And you know, I'm one of the first people who will agree to disagree and turn around and walk away and smile. I don't need to be, I don't need to be right. None of those things. I told John last night, we had a conversation last night after our hangout. And I told him, I said, listen, I am a Taurus the bull. Okay. My birthday's in May. And I'm just like an old bull standing out in the field, eating grass, minding my own business. Nobody bothers me. And then some dumbass has to come up and wave a red flag in my face and try to piss me off. Okay.
What? Well, okay. So, all right. So let me just put this in a different context then.
All right.
Okay. Let's imagine that I gave you the philosopher's pill, the philosopher's stone, which gave you basically your body goes back to how you were when you were 25. You have all the wisdom in the world and you are immortal. You can just carry on living forever. And ultimately you'll know everything there is to know. What are you going to do then? You're going to get a bit bored with that, aren't you, if you know everything that there is?
You'll never know everything there is.
Well, no, let's assume that you knew everything that ever was or ever is. You know everything. Isn't life a bit boring then? There's no surprises. There's no.
I know you want me to answer one of these questions with yes, I'm going to be bored, but I can't see it. I can't fathom being bored because there's always something to make or build or do or teach or learn or master. Look at you. You're learning how to play the guitar at your old age. Okay. I learned how to play the guitar when I was like 15. I already forgot how, and I did it, and I don't need to do it anymore. Okay, so I'm not going to learn to play guitar again. But there's languages, there's places to visit. I mean, do you know how big Earth is? Could you imagine traveling all over it?
You're immortal. You've been around.
I get that.
You've been around.
I've watched my vampire movies.
You've been here 2,000 years. You've done a Highlander plus, yeah, and you're a master of everything.
That's a stupid game, Lawrence.
No,
that's a stupid game.
So you know everything. Well, what are you going to do next?
Well, okay. So the immortal gods that we read about in books and in history, they're still around, right? If Satan's a real entity, he's been around way before mankind ever got here. He's still here, according to, legend. So I don't know the definition of immortality because I've never encountered an immortal. Okay. But time is relative. I've been here a long time for humans. Okay. But I could be here if I don't want to get old and wrinkly and crotchety and broke back. I would want to be that 25-year-old in perpetuity person. Okay. And then I could do physically all the things I want to continue to do for thousands of years. And I would be okay with that. I don't think I'd need to kill anyone. I can think of a whole bunch of things you could do without doing immoral, unethical things forever and not have to ever steal or kill or harm or maim or do anything bad.
Why do you think there's so many stupid people in the flat earth community then? Why are these people so close-minded about this stuff?
Lawrence, there's people who are awake and there's people who think they are. Okay? People who are awake, it's not about how much you know about the truth about being awake. It's about being self-aware, introspective, understanding yourself, who you are, what you know, how you fit into the puzzle of life, the universe, and the fabric of everything, right? Just because somebody
people want to search for answers about the whole world, and they don't even know the answers about their own selves. They don't even know why they make the choices they do, or at least they're not willing to face the truth that they know. But that's really where all the problems arise, is people don't want to face the truth, to face the truth that they feel a certain way about something, and though they've been told their whole life, no, that's bad, you can't do that, you'll go blind or something. And nature.
Well, we all, every single one of us.
That's very pedestrian, probably.
Well, sure, but every single one of us has slightly different code. Okay, whatever you want to call it, DNA code, abilities, intelligence, looks, all of it. Okay, we all have slightly different, all of that. Okay, so there's no two people alike. We're like snowflakes. Okay, and that in and of itself is a little bit of a conflict. Just that we're all a little different, because the minute I notice you got something I don't have, or you have something less than I have, either way, okay, I'm smarter than you, or you are prettier than I am. Okay, is that a good trade? No, I want to be both of those things. That's naturally how humans think. Okay, me, I don't. For a whole lot of those things that people care about, I don't care. I just don't care. Don't mean that much to me to mean that much to you. Okay. So therein lies a lot less conflict naturally, because I don't care what you have. I don't care if you're really good at something, because I'm really good at some things. Okay. And I'm not really bad at some things, but I just learn to do a coping mechanism to compensate for the thing that's so bad. And then I can manage it, whatever it is. Okay. People who think they're awake, though, because they have some knowledge about something, you give them a little bit more knowledge and they're like, oh, no, that's off the scale. Oh, no good. You I don't believe that. And so you're like, okay, well, then you're not awake. And then they go, yes, I am, because I understand all of these things, but that thing's just too out there, or too far, over the edge, or whatever. And so that's the problem that you have when you compare people's knowledge. Awake has nothing to do with the amount of knowledge that you have. Nothing. It's a self thing. Awake is a self thing. Do you agree?
Yeah, but
I'm very skeptical of being awake.
We have this life.
Sorry.
We have this existence, this reality, whether it's a simulation or not, but it's not a very nice world to live in for many people. And if everybody else is joining in, I mean, if I was one of these really rich guys, mega rich, I would use it to make people happy. Why do these people thrive on our misery? What do they get from our misery?
They don't care about your misery. They could care less about your misery. They only care about their happiness.
They do care about our misery, because our misery must bring them some benefit.
Well, there's those psychopaths and sociopaths, and those people do get yayas off of other people's misery. I mean, there's like serial killers out there who, the more people they kill, woohoo, happier they are.
From the human race, if you took all the perceptions of reality from everybody and meld it into one, would it be a good reality or a bad reality? It'd probably be a bad one. Most people ain't having that much fun.
I think
mixed bag.
I think it's, I'm with John. I think it's a mixed bag. I think it would depend on if you did a random sample of, 100 humans, 100 humans, 100 humans, and you, asked them a series of questions, or did like a focus group concept where, you focus group them. And you got them to explain what is happiness in some way, shape, or form. There's the cliche ones. happiness is love, happiness is a full belly. I mean, it's all kinds of simple to very complex, what is happiness? In my mind, if you ask me, what is your ultimate happiness? The first thing that comes across my mind is being by myself. That's the first thing. Okay. Whatever it will take me to be by myself, I will do that. And if that means giving away all my stuff so you leave me alone, I will do that. Okay. But there are other people who, if you said, okay, happiness is being by yourself, they would go, no, it's not. That's like loneliness. That would suck. And then right now you got this dichotomy. Okay. If two different people see the same thing as good and bad, yin and yang.
Yeah, but the bad people could they could wipe us all out tomorrow if they wanted to. So they must be getting some tangible benefit from. It's like a slow kill, isn't it? Really, they're trying to kill us off, but they want to kill us off slowly, like you would.
Well, you forget about there's rules, Lawrence. The Creator is not going to allow that. The Creator created us for a purpose. His purpose, its purpose, Creator's purpose, not for their purpose. So there is a universal law of free will. Well, my free will and your free will to kill, my free will to live and your free will to kill me are equal.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But when you're talking about purpose, a lot of people's purpose is to do things to make the world a better place. Like being a healer or bringing love and light into people's lives in some shape or form. And if the place was perfect, they would no longer have that purpose, would they?
What
but everybody.
What would you do then?
Go ahead, John.
No, I mean everybody.
Nobody's sick anymore.
But there's a lot of different people out there of the whole entire spectrum, and some of them think their purpose is to make money at all costs. Fuck all the rest.
I think, yeah.
I mean, there are people that there are people that build their own purpose up and they build their whole image up and their personality. You wind up 2 years later, you don't even recognize someone. They've built up the whole new image of themselves. And then there are people that walk through life, la-di-da-di-da, don't ever think about anything. Don't question anything, but don't ever do anything bad. And they make it somehow, and they don't have purpose even. They just,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Lawrence, look at it like this, okay? The United States of America just had an election, and we had a choice between bad and badder, okay? And so they chose bad, and here's this filthy rich billionaire who is our president. He literally lives in a gold-lined palace, okay, in Trump Tower. Gold toilet seats, gold faucets, gold knobs, gold ceiling, gold gilt, all over the freaking place. Costs a lot of money, okay? And I'm sure he gives to charity and he has a foundation or whatever. And yet here's all these people who are literally hungry. They're eating pot pies for dinner. I don't know if you have those, but it's a little pie with
pot noodle.
Pot pie. Okay.
MSG.
And yeah, that. And they're driving a 10 or 15-year-old car, and they make maybe $22,000 a year, and they're rah voting for this guy to make America great again. And they doesn't even dawn on them that this guy's got billions of dollars, and maybe it's not really all his money. I'm sure it's on paper, but how he chooses to spend it on himself and his lavishness, his lavish lifestyle, while right outside of his building, you can damn well guarantee there's some homeless people sleeping on a piece of cardboard, eating ramen noodles. and getting their hands warm over a barrel of fire. I can't for the life of me relate to encouraging that guy in any of his endeavors when he is obviously greedy. That's greed.
Well, when you watch The Matrix, you get the impression that the people in those pods were there to provide energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what about our purpose? Maybe not our true purpose, but the purpose we're being used for now is that Earth is just an emotion form, and all the various emotions that people have serve some purpose for somebody else who can actually collect these emotions, something like a football match. Yeah, and you've got all this energy from one side and reverse energy from the other, and these energy fields which we can't see, these energies are emotions. Emotions are movement. Things are moving about, and somebody somewhere is collecting them in a big funnel, and they're using it to feed themselves in some way.
Well, okay.
Earth.
All right.
I think we're an emotion form.
All right.
Well, that's what we're being used for now.
And that's highly likely, or something like that. Because, for example, you can take two people. One's an introvert and the other's an extrovert. Okay. Now, most people think that introvert and extrovert means whether you're outgoing or whether you're shy. Okay. It's not true. That's not what that means. What introvert means is a person who gets energy, makes their own energy themselves. Okay, for themselves. An extrovert is a person who gathers their energy from outward places, other people. Okay, so now new definition for those who did not know that that's the true definition. So you got an introvert and you got an extrovert. Okay, here's the introvert, do making energy, feeling fine, doing good all by themselves. Okay, here's the extrovert, doesn't make any energy, doesn't have any energy, needs to get some from an energy producer over here. Hi, going to the party, hanging out, talking, hours and hours. This one's like, no. The energy's just going down to shit. Okay, got time to go home. Thank you so much for the party. Got to go home now so I can make more energy for me by myself at home. Glad to be over with that. Extrovert, wonder where there's another party because I gotta go home. I'm going home by myself. Now I'm running down, and I got to go back out and get some more energy for some other people. Those vampires out there, not extroverts, but those vampires who are sucking up all the negative energy that they're producing, that's what that's about. Because you know what? You could produce news and stories and events that are happy and fulfilling and positive every day. The news every day could only be, if they chose, only be about how Aunt B won the pie baking contest. John just and about, the guy that saved the drowning dog. And you know what I'm saying? All the stories could be those except for that. They always carry one of those, happy stories at the end of the news after they've just like gone, wah, 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 the whole news was shit. Okay. So we suck into that ourselves. We could turn that TV. I turned the TV off 15 years ago, easily. Boom, gone. Don't watch the news anymore, ever. Okay. And now they need so much negative shit going on that they make it. I mean, they go out there and produce false flags and school shootings and every other kind of thing, so that everybody goes, "Oh, it's so awful." And, "Oh, did you see the thing and the bad?" And and they suck it up. On my newsfeed on Facebook, there'll be one person, "I got a new job, I'm so excited," and then there'll be 10. My grandma died, my mom died, my dog died. It's just, I need prayers. I need help. I need all the way down my newsfeed. Okay. One story on my newsfeed was about a guy who lives in a travel home, lost his job, was behind on the payments to his travel home and was going to have to be evicted from that. And they were going to take it back. And he was going to have to live in a tent. Okay. And suddenly his boss showed up in the 11th hour before they took away his mobile home and gave him his job back and advanced him back most or some of the pay that he lost while he wasn't working, gave him his job back. And now he's, back in spades. He's back in spades in a travel trailer, which is a downgrade from where most people would want to live. And he's thrilled. Okay. And I'm right there with him. That's thrilling. Okay. And I bet that lesson in life was more about for your boss than it was for you. Okay. I don't think you were being tested. I don't think it was all, God trying to beat up on you or anything. I think it was about your boss getting some kind of lesson out of this and or somebody else, and maybe you too, but you get my drift. So, if each of us, you say it would be boring, but if each of us just walked around all day smiling, okay, you know how creepy people think you are if you walk around smiling? I mean, they just think you're creepy. If you walk through the mall and you're smiling,
Yeah.
you go in an elevator and you're
hey guys,
smiling, and you look right at somebody and you're smiling, and they're like, what? What are you smiling about?
Hey, did you just fart?
What the hell's the matter with you?
I want to know. No, but it's infectious though. Once you start smiling
infectious.
and laughing, then other people, they go, "What? Oh, okay." Yeah.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
I have an experiment for you guys this week.
Okay.
I got a jet. I really got to go. This was awesome.
I was going to go an hour ago, so go ahead.
Oh God, talk about infectious. This is like this topic. It's probably
It's a
not
good one.
done.
I like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got something to carry over to the next time.
Okay.
To do an experiment by how can we, with our words and our apparently Lawrence with also words written down or however you affix them to some sort of medium like on a computer screen, can we do some experiments out there for see what we can make manifest through trying to use words and voice and stuff, on our own accord, in our own time, and maybe do it in a repetitious manner. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying a daily prayer, although daily prayer is also, there's something to be said about that. But to see, can either of us, all three of us, or anyone listening out there, do it for 1 week, focus on one thing that you want to try and manifest and do some words. Doesn't have to be a big thing, could be a small thing, and see if anything manifests out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe some of us might manifest the same idea. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that what group prayer's about? And prayer chains and all that kind of thing. And people have actually, people have been healed. People have been saved. People have been, gotten money or jobs or, you can pray about anything. It doesn't always have to be some horrible thing.
Even just vocalizing your intentions, even
Yes.
if you have different feelings throughout the course of a week or whatever, just vocalizing your intentions to the ether and going, I want it this way, or
Hey, I have to tell you, John, I actually did this one time. It was a couple of years ago, and it was like a challenge on Facebook where, they named your name, and then you had to, each day you had to put 3 things you were thankful for on your Facebook. Okay. And so I thought, that's kind of a cool thing. I'm going to try something today because I hate driving. So I thought, okay, on this day when I'm driving, every time some butthead does something stupid that, I normally would go, about and make the Incredible Hulk sound, I'm going to smile and laugh and go, that's awesome. Okay. Like the guy that cuts off in front of you, you just, and they're looking at you because they're going way past the red light and yours is green already and they're making that left. And you just like that. Okay. they do a double take. Like, what the hell? Right. And it actually made me laugh several times during the day when I was out driving around and I did that. I actually did it almost like a drive tard, like the car next to me. I just waved at the other driver, and they looked, and then like that, kind of sheepishly. But you could tell they smile. I mean, they smiled, and
Well, that's what he did, didn't he? What's his name? Guy in Groundhog Day. That's what he decided to do in the end, didn't he?
Mm-hmm,
You know, he went from being a grump to a nice guy,
right,
and he was having great fun, wasn't he?
And it does. It has a ripple effect. There's no doubt about it. It does.
Yeah.
It does ripple out, and it ripples to the next person, and then maybe they'll ripple it on to the next person. That degrees of separation thing, but I, you remember one time when we had this deal, and you said on Facebook, I made you an admin on the group or a moderator or something. I don't remember what it was. And I said, now, Lawrence, you just can't kick everybody out that says stupid shit or disagrees or posts a circle map or something. You just can't do that. You got to just ignore that or go with it or whatever. And he goes, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just block them and I won't see them anymore. It's really hard to be an admin of a group full of people that you can't see because you blocked them all. But okay, whatever floats your boat. And then suddenly somebody put a post on the Facebook group that said, whatever happened to Lawrence? I never see any posts from him anymore. And I went, oh, I'm sorry. Lawrence blocked you a long time ago, so you never see any posts from him. He's still here. Yeah. You're just blocked. I can't remember why, and I wouldn't worry about it if I were you because it's water under a bridge.
I know. Well, but yeah, this is something you could try doing because most people are quite reserved when they go out and about on the town, don't they? But I mean, I was in a coffee shop, I think it was in Liverpool and what have you, and the people behind the counter were bored out of their skulls, so I was engaging them and laughing and joking with them, and it sort of brought them, crazy enough, it sort of brought them to life because people don't talk to each other that much these days, do they? They just go in and I'll have a flat white and they'll go and sit down and
to themselves. Right.
I go and talk to them and I said, well, what do you do with the coffee here once you've done with it? Does somebody come and collect it and recycle it? I says, I'd be interested in having some of your coffee grains, actually, if you're not doing anything with them, because I'm going to make my own coffee oil. And so they would start saying, that's a good idea, yeah.
Well, they do that here, actually, at this
they
at
do that
Starbucks.
They go and collect.
You can go and get the bag. Yeah, you can go and pick up bags of coffee grounds. It's
probably GM coffee, isn't it? But
it's terrible. You don't want that, but they do that.
Yeah,
all right, now we really are being done. We're being done this time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, John, thank you. I'm so glad that you finally got your invite link to the show, joined us. It's been really fun, and I've enjoyed it. Lawrence, your spirit was high tonight, and I enjoyed that as well.
That's good.
And thanks to everybody who listened and who listens after and to the podcast, because this will probably be a pretty fun podcast considering we didn't have a lot of screen shares or anything like that going on and boringness. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.